Chapter 695. The ward instantly quietened down. There was a faint smell of disinfectant in the air, but it was like the fragrance of flowers, refreshing the mind. The gazes of the man and woman intersected, creating ripples in the air. After a long time, Lin Roashi furrowed her brows and said with resentment in her eyes, "Why did you talk about digging out my heart and slicing it? How disgusting. Can't you put it in a nicer way?" Yang Chung rubbed the back of his head and curled his lips. "You could just say nothing good comes out of dog's mouth. You might not be willing to listen to me even if I said something nice. Why don't you put it in a more provocative way?" As he spoke, Yang Chung passed the cup of water to Lin Roashi. "Rinse your mouth and drink some water. Your body has just recovered. Although it's fine now, it's better for you to rest." Lin Roashi took the cup of water and slowly got off the bed. "There's still a lot of things to do in the company. I'll go back to work after tidying up. I'm fine now." Yang Chung let out a long sigh. "I knew you wouldn't listen to me obediently. I'm fine. You should turn on your phone and think of a way to solve Mingyu's matter." Lin Roashi looked at Yang Chung with a faint smile before heading to the bathroom to wash up. Although Yang Chung felt a little heartache, he knew that Lin Roashi's body had recovered quickly after infusing his true yuan into her body. It shouldn't be a problem for her to go back to work. Furthermore, Yulei was in a difficult position without her, so he didn't force it. Turning on his phone, Yang Chung immediately saw several missed calls from Mo Lin, Mo Qinyi, Anshin, and Wu Yu. Just when Yang Chung was about to ask Mo Lin about the matter, he saw that Mo Qinyi had called again. After picking it up, Mo Qinyi said worriedly, "You've finally turned on your phone. Yang Chung, are you and Ruashi in hospital? How's Ruashi? Is she in danger?" Yang Chung smiled and said, "Don't worry. She's fine now. I'll send her back to the company later." "Why did you call me so many times?" "It's not just to ask about Ruashi's health." Irritated, Mo Qinyi replied, "I'm on the verge of collapsing." Initially, when this incident happened in the company, those reporters from the mainstream media came over to ask us to explain the current situation. No one knew who leaked the news just now, but the reporters all knew that the CEO, Ruashi, had fallen ill. Even internal personnel, like us, were caught unprepared. The reporters surrounded our company in 3 layers, reporting all kinds of conspiracy theories. I was thinking that if Ruashi was fine, she should come back as soon as possible. Otherwise, the whole company would be in chaos. Now that the employees know that the CEO is sick, they don't have a backbone. Once the stock market opens, there will be another wave of blows, and we will be completely finished. Yang Chung snorted coldly. "They're really relentless, trying to kill us." Mo Qinyi seemed to have encountered some kind of emergency situation. After a flurry of reports, Mo Qinyi didn't care too much. She said, "I'll go get busy first." Then she hung up. Yang Chung smiled bitterly and shook his head. He then dialed Molin's number. "Molin, how's the analysis going?" Yang Chung asked. Molin was a little embarrassed. "Your Majesty Pluto, I'm very sorry. Li Mingyi's background is a little too complicated. It's hard to investigate it in a short time. I still need some time. However, we've already gotten the results of the 2 things you wanted to analyze." Yang Chung frowned. "Complicated? Li Mingyi is just a manager sent by Hong Kong's Mean Corporation. At most, he's a distant relative of the Li family. Why does it take so long to investigate his information?" "Actually," Molin said in distress, "I thought so at first too. However, according to the information I've gathered, the name Li Mingyi isn't his original name. It seems that he changed it after he came to Hong Kong to work. Also, Li Mingyi doesn't seem to have any relationship with the Mu Yunli family. They just share the same surname. This gave us some misdirection at the beginning. There are many strange things in his resume since he was young. Many of the contents have been tampered with. It will take a lot of effort to investigate it. It's hard to explain all of this now. I hope your Majesty can give me more time. I promise to complete the task." Yang Chung didn't expect so many problems to arise after investigating Li Mingyi's background. However, this meant that the situation was much more complicated than he had imagined. "What about the evidence I asked you to investigate? What's the result?" Yang Chung asked again. This time, Molin said confidently, We've already obtained the report. There's indeed poison in that coffee. It's a type of tannic acid that's similar to tea leaves. When this acid comes into contact with some animal protein extracts, such as canine protein components, it will produce a carcinogen that can damage the internal organs of the human body, especially the liver. Coincidentally, this cup of coffee not only contains tannic acid, but also some special protein components that aren't found in coffee. It can be said that this cup of coffee was the fuse that completely triggered the poison. However, this kind of poison needs to accumulate over a long period of time before it can have a strong effect when a chemical reaction occurs. Therefore, according to my speculation, the person who poisoned the coffee must have been very familiar with the coffee drinker's daily consumption and planned to add this kind of extract into the coffee. Although we can't be sure of the exact time of the onset of the illness, according to the specific calculation, the error is at most 1 week. Hearing this, deep murderous intent surfaced in the depths of Yang Cheng's eyes. Lin Ruoshi had actually been drinking coffee with chronic poison all this time. Regardless of whether Li Mingyi had done this behind Wu Yu's back, even if he had to kill Wu Yu on the spot this time, he couldn't let her continue being Lin Ruoshi's assistant. As for the thing you mentioned, Molin continued, as you said, it was indeed tampered with, but as evidence it's still a little insufficient. When Molin was almost done, Lin Ruoshi also finished cleaning up and walked out of the bathroom. Seeing that Yang Cheng was on the phone, she asked softly, "Is there something urgent?" Yang Cheng had just finished the call and hung up the phone. He smiled and said, "The company urgently needs you back. The reporters are blocking the door. Let's go." A trace of worry flashed across Lin Ruoshi's face as she nodded. After leaving the hospital, on the way back to Yulei International, Yang Cheng called Anshin again. Anshin was only worried about whether something had gone wrong. After confirming that everything was fine, she didn't say much. Lin Ruoshi sat in the front passenger seat and quietly thought for a while. Then she turned her head and asked, "Have you found out who the thief was? Who stole the document from Mingyu?" Yang Cheng held the steering wheel with one hand and shook his finger at Lin Ruoshi with the other. He smiled evilly and said, "This criminal is very cunning. We were all tricked from the beginning." "What do you mean?" Lin Ruoshi was a little confused. Yang Cheng let out a breath and said, "That thief didn't steal anything from Mingyu at all. All the information was obtained by him." Lin Ruoshi's eyes were full of surprise. She obviously didn't know what Yang Cheng was talking about. Yang Cheng explained carefully, "From the beginning, we had our eyes on the safe in Mingyu's office. That's because there are only 2 copies of the documents. As the CEO, of course you didn't have a chance to leak it. So everyone thought that it was Mingyu who leaked it, or that someone found a way to get the documents from Mingyu. So our direction of thinking was who had the chance to get the documents from Mingyu and who had the means to steal the password. We even suspected that there was a high-tech pinhole camera installed in Mingyu's office to secretly watch Mingyu open the safe." Lin Ruoshi asked in return, "Isn't that the case? If it wasn't Mingyu, then it was even more impossible for it to be in my office. Other than Wu Yu, there was almost no one who could enter my office. Also, the area near the safe in my office was completely empty, so there was no way to install a camera." Yang Cheng smiled and said, "Let me finish. Speaking of which, I was the one who fell into the trap. The opponent was very prepared. He probably knew about me beforehand, or rather, he did a lot of things to confuse us. That guy, in the past 2 to 3 months, has been going to Mingyu's office from time to time. He's very diligent, as if he doesn't have a destination. His actions not only made people like me, who only occasionally go to Mingyu's office, see it, but it also made people in the company curious about his relationship with Mingyu, and they started discussing it. Don't tell me that you don't know who that guy is. You must have suspected that he found a chance to steal the documents from Mingyu, so you asked me to investigate, right?" Lin Ruoshi didn't deny it. She nodded and said, "You're talking about Li Mingyi, right? I do know that he has been going to Mingyu's office for no reason recently, and the news has spread throughout the company. I believe many people in the company have the same guess, but there is no evidence to prove that he stole the documents. This is also why no one mentioned Li Mingyi during the meeting. No one has any evidence." "Of course there is no evidence." Yang Cheng smiled and shook his head. I even went to watch the surveillance footage and calculated the possibility of him opening the safe, as well as how he could steal such a pile of documents without anyone seeing it. Now that I think about it, I'll laugh my head off. This is just a calculation that comes out of nowhere because he never intended to steal the documents from Mingyu in the first place. There's only one reason for him to do so, to attract our attention and make us think that he did it from Mingyu's office. Lin Ruashi wasn't stupid. She reacted quickly and said, "You're saying that this was all a cover-up to mislead us? Then how did he steal it?" Chapter 696. Yang Cheng said helplessly, "I'm overthinking things. Actually, the one who betrayed the company wasn't the person, but the photocopier in Wu Yu's office that was used to copy documents." Photocopier? Lin Ruashi frowned. "Did Wu Yu make a lot of copies?" "That's impossible. I've already said that I watched her copy a lot of the documents." Yang Cheng explained, "Maybe you haven't paid attention to those fields, so you're not very clear. Most of the photocopiers on the market now have a built-in hard drive. After every copy, there will be a large amount of documents stored in the hard drive. For those who know a little bit about computer technology, they only need to connect the hard drive to the computer and retrieve the documents from it. It's only a matter of 10 minutes. Situations where the photocopier leaks secrets often occur in many spy wars. Therefore, many important departments pay special attention to eliminating the photocopier's hard drive and completely destroying it to prevent a big mistake. Do you understand what I mean?" Lin Ruashi's pretty face was full of astonishment. After all, she was a business major, so she didn't understand these technical things at all. After sorting out her thoughts, Lin Ruashi said, "Even if the photocopier's hard drive can retrieve all the documents, the photocopier is in Wu Yu's office. Wu Yu usually gets off work very late like me. Plus, no one can get close to our office, and the office door is locked to outsiders. So that's why Li Mingyi didn't chase after so many beauties the moment he came to the company. Instead, he chased after Wu Yu like an infatuated man, because he knew very well that only by gaining Wu Yu's trust would he have the opportunity to tamper with Wu Yu's office without being suspected by Wu Yu. He might even be able to get Wu Yu to pass the keys to him occasionally and use it as an excuse to check some information." Yang Chun clicked his tongue and sighed. "I can't help but admire that fellow's patience and calculation. Everything he has done since he first came to the company was for this perfect performance. Every step he took, while misleading us, allowed him to complete everything without leaving a trace." A trace of sadness flashed across Lin Ruashi's eyes. "Wu Yu, she really likes Li Mingyi." Yang Cheng silently looked at the woman. In his mind, the image of Lin Ruashi asking him to keep Wu Yu and Li Mingyi's affair a secret surfaced in his mind. Towards this only female assistant, who was also her junior, Lin Ruashi never said a word of concern. However, in her subconscious mind, perhaps she hoped that Li Mingyi was innocent and that he truly loved Wu Yu. Yang Cheng said faintly, "That can't be helped. Did you know that when I went to your office to look for you, I just happened to bump into Wu Yu bringing Li Mingyi to your office to look for information. They even told me that you went shopping at the Yusong building." Lin Ruashi nodded. "I remember you came to see me that day. I finally understand now. The reason why Li Mingyi went to your office was to confirm early on whether you used the photocopier in your office when you photocopied the information. After he confirmed that there wasn't a photocopier in your office, he was sure that the information he wanted was all in the photocopier in Wu Yu's office. From the beginning, he did it flawlessly." Lin Ruashi closed her eyes, as if she was a little sad about this outcome. After a while, she asked, "Then the poisoning of me, was it also Li Mingyi's doing? The coffee you drank contained some chronic toxins. I won't go into the details. If I'm not wrong, after Li Mingyi found out about your daily coffee consumption from Wu Yu, he secretly added the toxins to the same brand of coffee and replaced it with Wu Yu's office. According to the measurements, he arranged for the toxins to take effect in the next few days," Yang Cheng said in a low voice. "If I'm not wrong, he wanted you to completely collapse during Yulei's most critical moment, not giving you any chance to retaliate." Lin Ruashi bit her lower lip and said with a hint of expectation, "So, Wu Yu doesn't know about it, right?" Yang Cheng nodded. That seems to be the case for now. However, regardless of whether she knows about it or not, I won't allow her to stay by your side anymore. You have to change your assistant, someone you can absolutely trust. You have to listen to me on this matter. There's no room for discussion. How can you be like this? Even if you can't be used anymore, why should I listen to you when choosing an assistant? Lin Ruashi was dissatisfied with a hint of rebuke. Whatever you say, the assistant must be someone I approve of. If I don't approve of him, I'll directly throw him out of your office window. Yang Chang said with a solemn face. Although we can solve the specific process of this theft, Li Mingyi's methods are brilliant. Even if we know his methods, we don't have any evidence. We can't say that just because we know that the hard drive of the photocopier can be used to steal information, he must be the one who stole it. So, after I send you back to the company, I plan to first call a lawyer to bail Mingyu out. After all, with a more credible method of committing the crime, Mingyu's suspicions can be mostly cleared. Lin Ruashi pouted. Got it. I'll take care of the company's matters. You go save your Mingyu. After saying that, she simply turned her head and looked out the window, ignoring Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng rolled his eyes. It seemed like this woman had really recovered. She could even be so jealous. At the same time, in the vice president's office of Yulei International, a secretary opened the door with a pleasantly surprised expression and said loudly, Vice President Li, good news. Li Mingyi, who was looking through some forms, frowned in dissatisfaction. Why are you so excited? Don't you know that the more chaotic the company is, the calmer we should be? The secretary grinned and said, Yes. It's just that we just received news that General Lin has recovered and will soon return to the company to attend a press conference. Everyone is very excited, so I specially came to report to you. A trace of darkness and confusion flashed in Li Mingyi's eyes, but he still smiled heartily. That's great. Go do what you need to do. I'm going to meet a few important people for the time being. I need their help. If there's anything urgent, report to Manager Wang and the others. The secretary immediately agreed and happily ran back to work. Li Mingyi bitterly gritted his teeth and put on his coat. He hastily picked up his belongings and left the office to take the elevator downstairs. Along the way to the parking lot, Li Mingyi's phone rang. He took it out and looked at the number. He felt a wave of annoyance, but he still picked up the phone and said as pleasantly as possible, Is there anything urgent? Pretending not to know, the person on the phone said disdainfully, Look at what kind of stupid thing you've done. Didn't you say that Lin Ruashi would be sick for at least 10 days to half a month? She might even become cancerous. Why is she going back to the company after only a few hours? Please calm down. I don't know why this happened either. But she was indeed sick before this. Maybe she was just lucky. I really tried my best, Li Mingyi said helplessly. Seeing that other things are going smoothly, I'll let this matter go. Now, even if Lin Ruashi returns to Yulei International, she won't be able to turn the situation around. Yulei's plans for the second half of the year, and those proposals have all been exposed. They've lost the competitiveness of their industry. Even if Lin Ruashi has the money, she can only protect those fixed assets at most. It won't be easy for her to recover. Yes, you're a genius. It's only a matter of time before you defeat Lin Ruashi, Li Mingyi quickly flattered. The person sneered. You don't have to act like this. What's yours? I won't let you off. You might have been exposed now. Don't go anywhere else. Come to the place I've arranged for you. Li Mingyi heard this and said gratefully, Thank you for your kindness. I'll go now. After hanging up the phone, a trace of excitement and ruthlessness appeared on Li Mingyi's face. He quickly walked toward his car. Right at this moment, a skinny and pale figure dressed in a black suit appeared not far in front of Li Mingyi, blocking his way. Li Mingyi stopped in his tracks. A complicated look appeared in his eyes. Then he smiled and said, So it's you? General Lin is coming back soon. Why are you here? Wu Yu's eyes were red and glistening with tears. She looked at Li Mingyi with a pained expression and forced a smile. Tell me, it wasn't you. You didn't do all of this, right? Li Mingyi's smile slowly disappeared. He pondered for a moment and laughed disdainfully. Since you already know the answer in your heart, do you still need me to say it? Why? Don't tell me you want to stop me from leaving? Even if that Yang Chung can find out something in the end, he has no evidence to prove it. What can you do to me? Wu Yu took a deep breath and raised her head. She tried her best not to let her tears fall. Her shoulders trembled as she said, I should have known that you wouldn't take the initiative to like a woman like me. But I always had the illusion that you wouldn't be the kind of man who judges a book by its cover. As long as I treat you well, you will definitely treat me sincerely. So no matter what you say to me, I choose to believe that you are innocent and that you have no ulterior motives. The corner of Li Mingyi's eyebrows twitched slightly, but his expression didn't change. Li Mingyi, Wu Yu's eyes were red. Her skinny neck was stretched taut. She said painfully, it doesn't matter if you were instructed by a competitor or if you wanted to do it yourself. What you did to Yulei, I can see it as a business competition. I can convince myself to forgive you. But how could you use me to hurt my most respected General Lin? The muscles on Li Mingyi's face twitched a few times. He sneered and said, whatever you say. Let me tell you, if it wasn't for the big things I have to do in the future, I would have taken a knife and stabbed Lin Ruoshi to death. Letting her die from a slow-acting poison is already a great deal for her. Chapter 697. Wu Yu's eyes were filled with disbelief. She couldn't understand why the man she loved would hate the person she respected the most. Why are you like this? This is none of your business. Li Mingyi rushed forward and pushed Wu Yu, who was blocking the way, aside. Wu Yu staggered a few steps before she fell. Li Mingyi walked to the car and unlocked it. Just as he was about to step into the car, he paused. After hesitating for a while, Li Mingyi turned around with a complicated expression. He looked at the woman standing behind him and asked in a low voice, I'll give you a chance. Do you want to leave with me or stay here and be buried with Lin Ruoshi? Wu Yu's thin body trembled. She raised her head with tears in her eyes, but a hint of joy. You still care about me, don't you? Wu Yu asked with a smile. Li Mingyi snorted in disdain. You're a woman who slept with me. I'm not tired of you yet. It's up to you whether you want to leave or not. Wu Yu looked at him mournfully, but she firmly shook her head. She wiped her tears and said seriously, I won't go with you, Mingyi. You'd better turn yourself in. Now is not the time for everyone to know. You can't win against Boss Lin. Bullshit, Li Mingyi roared. You think she'll be fine just because she was poisoned? You're underestimating me. When the American stock market opens, Yulei will have to shrink at least 30% of its assets. The information has already been given to Yulei's competitors a few days ago. At the latest, everything will be in place in a day or two. Yulei's operations for the next 6 months will be completely suppressed. At that time, no matter how rich Lin Ruoshi is, she can only continue to hold on. There's no way she can make up for this vicious cycle. In a few months, she might not even be able to file for bankruptcy. Do you really think she's some kind of business genius? It's just that her previous opponents were too weak. Stop dreaming. Wu Yu bit her lips and said firmly, I only believe that General Lin will definitely have a way. Mingyi, don't make any more mistakes. I know you still care about me. You're not that kind of crazy person, you. Enough. Li Mingyi's face turned ferocious. He strode in front of Wu Yu and stared at her coldly. Woman, have you been brainwashed by Lin Ruoshi? Fine, since you trust your boss so much. Then I'll let you watch the whole of Yulei wither in front of you. Before Wu Yu could react, the back of her neck received a heavy blow. Wu Yu's vision darkened, and she fainted. It was Li Mingyi who had knocked Wu Yu unconscious while she was distracted. Li Mingyi held the unconscious Wu Yu in his arms and looked around to make sure no one was around. He placed Wu Yu in the front passenger seat of the car and helped her buckle her seatbelt. From the outside, it looked like she was taking a nap. Li Mingyi quickly regained his composure, started the car, and left the parking lot. Just as Li Mingyi left the parking lot, a petite white woman wearing pink-framed sunglasses walked out from behind a pillar in a blind corner. It was Fanny from the Sea Eagles. Fanny chewed on her gum and snapped her tongue. She took out her phone and dialed a number. Adeline, the mouse, ran away. It's your turn. Why'd it run so fast? I'm still buying sandwiches. Boss, I don't want green peppers. Okay, I'll follow. You can inform His Majesty Pluto. A few seconds later, Yang Chung, who was driving to Yulei International, received a text message. Yang Chung glanced at the text message written in Italian and smiled at Lin Ruashi. Li Mingyi is smart enough to have already run away. Lin Ruashi frowned and asked doubtfully, "How do you know?" "I had a few friends keep an eye on his movements. They just sent me a message saying that he left." Lin Ruashi didn't ask who his friends were. Instead, she asked anxiously, "Then why didn't you stop him? Should we call the police to arrest him?" Yang Chung shrugged. "Li Mingyi can't fly, so we can always follow him. The key is to find the people behind him. So, I'm very interested to see where he ran off to." A trace of worry flashed across Lin Ruashi's eyes. She asked nervously, "When you find those people, what will you do?" Yang Chung said calmly, "Of course I'll do what I should do." "I know. You must want to kill people, right?" Lin Ruashi looked worried and anxious. "Yang Chung, promise me you won't kill people, okay? I know you must have killed a lot when you were abroad. I also know that your field of expertise is not something I can understand. But killing people is not a good thing. Anyway, they can't beat you. Why don't you take them to the police station and send them to court?" Yang Chung smiled relaxedly. "Don't worry about this. You should think about how to save the current situation when you return to the company. If this goes on, even if Li Mingyi and the others are found, they will not be able to recover the company's losses. The future prospects cannot be filled with money alone." Lin Ruashi shook her head and said solemnly, "Business is business. You are you. You have to promise me that you will never kill anyone. You can cripple them, knock them unconscious, but you must use legal means to send them to trial. You have to promise me." "I have my own ideas." "No. If you don't promise me, then I'll always be by your side. At worst, I won't go to the company. Unless you knock me out." Lin Ruashi gritted her teeth and looked at Yang Chung with certainty. Yang Chung took a long and deep breath. His eyes were cold as he said in a deep voice, "That guy made you drink slow-acting poison for so long, and even causing you to be sent to the police station. How can I let him live? Besides, it's not the first time you've seen me kill people. It's not a big deal. I'll be fine. But you can't just kill people." Lin Ruashi shouted. Yang Chung felt a slight pain in his eardrums. He looked at Lin Ruashi in surprise. He didn't know why the woman was so agitated. Lin Ruashi said faintly, "It's because it's not the first time I've seen you kill people. I always hope that you won't do it again. Do you know that every time you kill someone, the look in your eyes makes me very scared?" The car suddenly fell silent. Yang Chung held his breath and didn't know what to say. "Yang Chung, I don't believe that a person can be happy killing people. I also don't believe that the end of everything is death. Didn't you tell me that Sister Kai Ning helped you to stop you from killing Zhang Mao? I think she's the same as me. She doesn't like you who always stains your hands with blood." Lin Ruashi sighed softly. She stretched out her left hand and placed it on Yang Cheng's right arm. "You don't have to kill Li Mingyi just because he poisoned me. To me, Li Mingyi only needs to be punished. I don't want to see you with bloodshot eyes because you killed someone. That makes me feel that you're very far away. You're not the Yang Chung who lives with us. Do you understand?" Finally, Yang Cheng's lips curled into a helpless smile. "I'm really defeated by you. If I knew this would happen, I would have secretly dealt with Li Mingyi behind your back. All right, I promise you that if he doesn't do anything excessive again, I'll send him to the court to be sentenced. However, if he does something that makes me unhappy again, don't blame me." Lin Ruashi nodded her head in disappointment. "Yes, of course. If he really threatens you, then there's nothing you can do." Yang Chung thought to himself. Li Mingyi's resistance was inevitable. Killing him was only a matter of time. However, the fact that Lin Ruashi had such lingering fears about him killing people made him feel a little emotional. For people living in ordinary society, even death was a very scary thing. Moreover, in a bloodstained murder scene, he really had to consider the feelings of the people around him, especially the murderous aura that leaked out when he killed someone. Even a trace of it would be a great shock to Lin Ruashi. As they spoke, the car was almost at the Yulei International Building. At the same time, Mo Chini called again. This time, it was to Lin Ruashi. Chapter 698. Night had fallen, and the street lights were lit up. It was supposed to be time to get off work, but no one dared to leave their posts at Yulei International's headquarters. which was facing a huge test. Mo Chinny was also in the office directing the overall situation. Lin Ruoshi picked up the phone. Without waiting for Mo Chinny to say anything, she calmed down and said, "Nasdaq opened, right? What's the situation?" Mo Chinny sounded haggard and worried. "Although I hate to say it, the situation is worse than I expected. I'm at the company. I'll be there soon. Brief me on the phone first," Lin Ruoshi said. "It's only been a few minutes since the market opened, and our share price has fallen by almost 8%. It's still falling rapidly. There are a lot of retail investors selling," Mo Chinny said. Lin Ruoshi frowned. She didn't expect it to be this bad. "How did it end so quickly?" Mo Chinny sighed. "I didn't watch the financial news before. The U.S. economic data has been terrible recently. Stocks have been low these days. A lot of investors are waiting for the Greek election. You know, Greece and Spain are in chaos in Europe. In addition, the sales of the retail giants in the U.S. have plummeted in the past 2 months. The Dow Jones Index has fallen by nearly 1%. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq have also fallen by about the same amount. Everyone is very sensitive. Our ULA shares are especially eye-catching. Once there's a problem, everyone will notice it quickly." Lin Ruoshi tightened her grip on her phone and said calmly, "I understand. Don't do anything for now. I'll be back to give orders soon. Chinny, please calm the employees down first. Come back quickly. I'm going crazy. I don't know where Li Mingyi is at such a critical time. A lot of his work has fallen to me." Mo Chinny was indeed going crazy. Lin Ruoshi silently glanced at Yang Chung. She said a few words and hung up. After the car entered the parking lot, Lin Ruoshi unbuckled her seatbelt and said to Yang Chung, "Go to the police station and bring Mingyu back. Although I'm sorry for her, she must come back to help me at this time." Although Yang Chung did not specialize in economics, he knew the severity of the situation. He nodded. "Don't worry. Just do your best. Even if the company is gone, I can still support you." Lin Ruoshi rolled her eyes at him. "Don't worry. No matter how much I lose money, I don't need you to support me." After that, Lin Ruoshi got out of the car and jogged to the elevator. "What a stubborn woman." Yang Chung smiled and shook his head. After watching Lin Ruoshi leave, he rolled down the window and gestured to a corner. In that dark corner, Fanny, who had been waiting for him, nodded slightly. The order she received was naturally to protect Lin Ruoshi's safety. Yang Chung did not think that anyone would brazenly come to the company to commit murder at a time like this. However, he had to be careful. Moreover, as long as Fanny was watching, he could instantly return to the police station if he really encountered a troublesome person. After that, Yang Chung drove to the police station again. Although he could get someone else to do it for him, Yang Chung still wanted to pick up Lu Mingyu himself. Halfway through the drive, his phone vibrated. Yang Chung picked it up. It was a call from Mullen. "Found it." Naturally, Yang Chung asked about Li Mingyu's detailed background. "Your Majesty Pluto, you've really given me quite a shock. Li Mingyu's true background is far more complicated than I imagined. Ever since his grandfather's generation, he's been somewhat related to you." Mo Lin responded with a sigh. "Me?" Yang Chung was puzzled. "Yes. To be more precise, he is related to the Yang family in Yinjing. Later on, he had a close relationship with Lady Persephone. Although there are still some details that I haven't found out, I already know the basic content. Because there are many people and events involved, the oral description is a bit cumbersome. Also, it's a bit inappropriate. I've compiled it into an email and sent it to your mailbox. Is that okay?" Mullen said. Yang Chung said impatiently, "Cut the crap. You could have just sent it by email. Hurry up and send it." Mullen hurriedly agreed. 10 seconds later, an email was sent to Yang Cheng's mailbox. Yang Chung hung up and opened the associated mailbox on his phone. As he drove, he found the email and read it. As Yang Chung read the contents of the document one by one, the expression on his face changed from impatience to seriousness, and then to seriousness. In the end, he gradually revealed a trace of shock and uncontrollable astonishment. After reading all the content, Yang Chun stuffed his phone back into his pocket. He angrily slapped the steering wheel with one hand and cursed under his breath. His facial expression fluctuated for a long time before he managed to suppress his complicated emotions. At the same time, in the headquarters of Ulay International, Lin Ruoshi, who had returned to the company, was already sitting in the company's General Command conference room. Looking out from the large glass windows, she saw a large number of finance and accounting employees busily dealing with all kinds of problems that had sprung up in the company like mushrooms after spring rain. Mo Chieni and the other senior executives were sitting on both sides of the room with ugly expressions on their faces. They watched the financial data and a series of news updates on the dozen or so large screens, their hearts heavy with worry. The employees were also clearly aware that the company's stock price was falling continuously. Countless business partners and major clients were calling them incessantly, and all kinds of disputes were emerging, putting the company in a precarious situation. The waves of excitement caused by Lin Ruoshi's safe return had now been extinguished. They had once again sunk into a muddy struggle. Under such circumstances, no one had the leisure to care about Li Mingyi and Wu Yu's absence. Ruoshi, if this goes on, the stock price will fall by at least 20% in less than half an hour, Mo Chieni said helplessly. Lin Ruoshi, who was sitting at the back of the room, did not utter a word. Her bright eyes were fixed on the screen that was constantly refreshing the data. Her elegant face was expressionless. One of her delicate hands gently covered her cherry lips, as if she was deep in thought. A few of the senior executives looked dejected. Although they had already experienced two major disasters, they were ultimately resurrected by Lin Ruoshi's miraculous tricks. However, they knew that this disaster was completely different. The previous two problems were more of a funding problem. At most, they would earn less and lose some competitiveness. However, this time, the company itself was in a situation where it was about to lose its competitiveness and future. It was constantly suffering devastating blows. Just as everyone felt that they were at their wits' end, Lin Ruoshi suddenly sighed and said, "Department Headway, get the people from the accounting department to buy 2,000 to 5,000 shares for various accounts once the stock price falls by 15%. Buy them every 10 to 15 minutes. There must be at least 100 accounts, and use them in rotation." Department Headway from the accounting department was stunned when he heard this. Lin Ruoshi frowned. "Why? Do you want me to repeat myself?" No. Department Headway immediately smiled stiffly. "General Lin, it's just, if that's the case, it won't be of much help to our current situation. There are many individual investors who are dumping hundreds of thousands of shares. If we buy them like this, it will be like trying to put out a cart of firewood with a cup of water. It won't be able to reverse the downward trend. Just do what I tell you to do. You just need to execute. I don't need you to explain to me." Lin Ruoshi raised her voice and said coldly. Department Headway swallowed his saliva and hurriedly ran out to instruct his department. Mo Chieni said worriedly, "Ruoshi, don't be like this. I know you're anxious, but Department Headway is right. If we buy them like this, it won't be effective at all." Lin Ruoshi let out a long sigh. "I know, but I can only do my best and leave the rest to fate. Chieni, go talk to the presidents of the major banks. Try not to let our funds run into any problems, just in case." Mo Chieni nodded bitterly. "I got it. Oh yes, why don't we give the Athena team some funds? Maybe it will be of some use through some manipulation methods." Lin Ruoshi shook her head. "This is not something that can be brought back from the dead by manipulation methods. Look, those people bought the shares at such a high price, and now they're dumping the shares at a loss of 20%. Obviously, they know that they will lose more and more if they continue to be trapped in this situation. The Athena team is not a god. It's impossible for them to make the investors believe that we have a way to survive. What we need to do now is to find an opportunity to get our operations back on track. I will discuss with the others about the issues of purchasing and distribution. Let's split the work." Although Mo Chieni didn't want to admit it, she knew that Lin Ruoshi was right. Gritting her teeth, she turned around and left the meeting room. That night, the global economy began to look to the east. Ulay International's branches all over the world began to suffer a huge impact, and the pressure suddenly increased. Their competitors were naturally overjoyed. After all, their main competitor, who had dominated many fields, was about to collapse. On the other hand, more people were lamenting about how unlucky Yulei was. In the short span of a year or so, they had suffered one tragedy after another, one worse than the last. Many people even had the evil thought that perhaps in the future, Yulei International could only stay in the entertainment branch. After all, Lin Hui was a rising superstar, and the profits she could bring were incomparable. In this quiet and turbulent undercurrent, on the seaside in the suburbs of Zhonghai, there was a group of sanatorium-style villas built by the government of Huaxia. In one of the luxurious villas, it was a different scene. Chapter 699. There was a sentry post every 10 steps, and soldiers with loaded guns were stationed in this area. This wasn't a military official's residence, but a place where many retired officials rested and enjoyed their old age. However, there were many such places in the country, so most of the villas were left unused. And in one of the villas near the coast, the first-floor hall was brightly lit. The thick pinewood floor was covered with a wide and complex pattern carpet from the Mediterranean Sea. Between the light brown leather sofas was expensive mahogany furniture. In the corner of the wall were works of famous sculptors, and there were even several famous paintings worth millions hanging on the wall. A wall-mounted TV with a huge screen was broadcasting financial information from foreign satellite signals. On both sides of the TV, there were several smaller screens that were constantly refreshing the data of the stock market. On a large, comfortable sofa, a man with his shirt unbuttoned was lying on his back. He was holding a glass of red wine in his hand, watching the news on the TV with a smug smile. Not far from the man was a thin, pale, and pretty woman who was also watching the news on the TV. Her expression was one of unease and worry. It was Li Mingyi, who had come here not long ago to avoid the limelight, and Wu Yu, who he had knocked unconscious and brought here. At this time, the TV broadcasted the latest news. It was about a small portion of Yulei's shares being gradually acquired on the U.S. NASDAQ. Seeing this, Li Mingyi laughed. Looks like Lin Ruoshi is also at her wit's end. She thinks she can save the situation by pretending to buy some of the shares from different accounts. What wishful thinking. You err. You can see that the CEO Lin you admire is actually just an ordinary person. She's desperate for help, haha. Wu Yu turned around sadly and said, Mingyi, why are you doing this? What good will it do you if Yulei falls? Li Mingyi said disdainfully, I didn't say I want Yulei to fall. I just want Lin Ruoshi to fall. After this plan is completed, Lin Ruoshi can no longer be the CEO and CEO of Yulei. Only I can. Only I can turn the tide. Hearing this, Wu Yu was shocked and cried out involuntarily. You want to take Yulei? Li Mingyi snorted. What's a mere Yulei International? You think too little of my appetite. Besides, it should belong to me in the first place. I'm just taking what I need to take. You're crazy. Why are you? Wu Yu was at a loss. It was as if the Li Mingyi in front of her was terrifying. She stood up in a panic and said, Mingyi, I want to go back and help General Lin. Even if things can't be reversed, I will do my best. You won't succeed. After Wu Yu finished speaking, she quickly turned around and ran out of the villa. Li Mingyi immediately threw the wine glass away, and the red wine spilled all over the floor. Similarly, he flew forward and hugged Wu Yu. Wu Yu struggled a few times, but she was powerless to break free from the man. She was so exasperated that she even began to bite Li Mingyi's arm. However, Li Mingyi did not move an inch. Finally, Wu Yu wept out. She raised her head and said with misty eyes, Mingyi, let me go. Don't be like this, okay? Li Mingyi's eyes were burning as he said, Why? Don't you love me? Don't you like it when I become stronger? Is Lin Ruoshi more important in your heart than me? Wu Yu looked at him blankly, then shook her head. It's not the same. General Lin is my respected senior, and you are the man I love, but I can't let you sink like this. I can't watch you go crazy and do nothing, Li Mingyi said solemnly. Do you know, in my plan, you're actually just a chess piece that I could discard after I'm done using. Wu Yu was stunned, and a trace of pain flashed in her eyes. But Li Mingyi took a deep breath and said, Now, I've brought you to my side. Wu Yu's body trembled slightly, and her breathing quickened. Li Mingyi smiled bitterly. You err. Don't you know how I feel about you? I used you, but I really want to be with you now. Just trust me and stay by my side. When I become the chairman of Yulei and achieve even greater things, you can't do anything about it. You're Mrs. Li, Mrs. Li. Isn't that better than being a small assistant now? Wu Yu lowered her head, and tears kept falling on the carpet. After a long time, she raised her head and said with a sad smile, Thank you. With these words of yours, I am satisfied. No matter what you do, no matter what you become, I will always love you. Li Mingyi was overjoyed and said with a smile, Then you are? I'm sorry. Wu Yu immediately said, Although I really want to be with you, I still have to go back to Yulei. I want to help General Lin, even if I'm just a small assistant, a useless, stupid woman. Why? I've been so sincere to you. Why do I want to help the person I hate? Li Mingyi shook Wu Yu's body madly. Wu Yu suddenly looked at the man who had fallen into madness with infinite affection. She smiled bitterly and said, Because I hope the child in my belly will have a good father. The whole hall was dead silent, and only the sound of the news broadcast could be heard in the TV. Li Mingyi seemed to be completely frozen, and there was nothing but confusion and astonishment in his eyes. Under the same night sky, outside the Zhonghai police station, Yang Cheng sorted out his emotions, got out of the car, and immediately ran to the entrance of the police station. It was a little depressing to say that he always seemed to have an ambiguous relationship with the police station. Just as he was thinking about how to negotiate with the people at the police station and also thinking about how to comfort Lu Mingyu, he didn't expect to see a familiar figure gracefully walking out of the police station before he reached the entrance. Dressed in office attire, Lu Mingyu looked no different than she did at noon, except that her eyes were a little more haggard. Seeing the man standing at the bottom of the stairs, Lu Mingyu was slightly stunned for a moment, then smiled sweetly and walked down quickly. Yang Cheng, why are you here? Don't run. Why are you running in high heels? Yang Cheng hugged her waist and looked at her from head to toe. After confirming that she wasn't wronged, he asked curiously, I found evidence to prove that it wasn't your fault, so I rushed here to pick you up. What about you? Did the police station let you go? Lu Mingyu asked excitedly. Who is it? What evidence? Yang Cheng briefly explained the matter of Li Mingyi using the built-in hard disk technology of the photocopier, but temporarily concealed the matter of Lin Ruoshi being poisoned, so that Lu Mingyu would not feel uncomfortable. Lu Mingyu smiled and said, Although I knew that there was a problem with him always coming to my office, I didn't expect it to be just a smokescreen. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have been so desperately on guard. Those days were really tiring. It wasn't easy to deal with him. You still haven't told me how you came out. Yang Cheng looked around, but he didn't see anyone else coming out with them. Lu Mingyu said gratefully, Actually, when I first arrived at the police station, General Lin had already sent a lawyer to help me defend my rights and interests. I didn't suffer any grievances. I just asked some simple questions. Ruoshi sent a lawyer? Yang Cheng said in surprise. Why didn't she tell me? Lu Mingyu rolled her eyes at him, rebuking. You don't know how to understand General Lin at all. During the meeting at noon, how could you help me embarrass General Lin in front of so many people? Any wife would be angry. I think General Lin was calm, so he didn't overreact. If it were me, I would have stepped on your feet with my high heels. Yang Cheng smiled awkwardly. I was just afraid that you would suffer too much grievance. Everyone is against you. Then what should I do? Everything is pointing at me. Lu Mingyu said, Although I feel wronged, I can only endure it. After all, I have to look at the big picture. General Lin asked the police to take me away. In fact, it was also to indirectly protect me, to give me a chance to find my innocence. Also, do you really think your wife is stupid? Even your brain can think of the problem clearly. How can she not know that I am innocent? It's just that the situation forced me to. So, General Lin sent me here, and, on the other hand, she sent her privately hired lawyer, Zhang, to help me solve some problems. This is the only way to solve the problems smoothly. Yang Cheng felt a little upset. He was indeed a little impulsive. Even if he had a meteoric rise in cultivation, his temperament was still too young, especially when it involved his loved ones. It was difficult to control himself. Lu Mingyu said again, "So don't blame General Lin for not telling you because she was so angry with you. It would be strange if she was willing to tell you." Yang Cheng curled his lips, reached out his hand, and pinched the woman's butt, causing Lu Mingyu to cry out, nervously looking around to see if anyone was watching. "All right, it's enough if you ridicule me a little. You have to give me some face. I'm not a saint. I always make mistakes." Yang Cheng chuckled. "Ruashi asked me to pick you up, probably because she wanted to use you to scold me. Don't be too diligent. Since there's nothing else, I'll take you back to the company. Yulei is in real trouble now." Lu Mingyu also knew that the situation was dangerous, so she stopped joking around and got into the car, the two of them heading to Yulei's headquarters. But not long after, Yang Cheng received another text message. It was from Adeline, who was in charge of tailing Li Mingyi. Chapter 700. Yang Cheng glanced at it and frowned. He sighed deeply and continued driving. Lu Mingyu caught a glimpse of it from the corner of her eye. Seeing that it was filled with Italian words, she asked doubtfully, "Is it your overseas friend?" Yang Cheng smiled. "Sort of. You seem to have something on your mind," Lu Mingyu said worriedly. Yang Cheng thought for a while and asked, "Mingyu baby, do you think Ruashi is a ruthless person?" Lu Mingyu was stunned for a while. She reached out and slapped Yang Cheng a few times, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. She said angrily, "How can you ask a question like that? And you're talking about your own wife. Don't think that I'll speak ill of your wife just because I'm a mistress. Although I'm not willing, I still hope to fight for it with my own efforts." Yang Chun smiled gloomily. "You've misunderstood me. I was just asking casually about your feelings towards Ruashi. I didn't say that she's bad." Lu Mingyu glanced at the man and raised her head to think for a while. She said, "If you really want me to answer, I think it's half and half." Lu Mingyu continued, "It would be inappropriate to say that General Lin isn't soft-hearted. Just like the last time when Goodman ran into trouble in Europe, General Lin directly changed the European branch. If she wasn't ruthless, she wouldn't have laid off so easily. Let's not talk about anything else. When she first became the CEO, I had already been working in Yulei for more than a year. At that time, she used a lot of methods, both overtly and covertly, to kill off all the old people who refused to obey her. There was no room for negotiation at all because of their contributions to Yulei. If that wasn't the case, Boss Lin wouldn't have been able to control 90% of Yulei before he sold his shares. Most of the shares were snatched from other major shareholders through schemes. Many of them even went bankrupt because of that." Yang Chun was astonished. He then smiled bitterly. "No wonder she has so many shares. No wonder she stole the shares from the other shareholders. TSK. No wonder she has enemies everywhere." Lu Mingyu rolled her eyes at him. "That's because General Lin is more skillful. In the business world, a loss is a loss. Although many people hate her and think she's too cold and heartless, they still admire her methods." Yang Cheng nodded. "What about the other half?" "As for the other half," Lu Mingyu smiled and said, "if it's an employee who works hard for the company, CEO Lin will treat him very well. Just like what happened to Hong Yin before, it's an example. Also, every year, Yulei's donations to Project Hope are among the top 3 in the country. It's just that General Lin doesn't want to make news out of this, so there aren't many reports. But we actually know about it internally." Yang Cheng was well aware of this. After all, Lin Ruashi often visited the orphanage to see the children. It wasn't an act, but she was really kind. All in all, I feel that if it wasn't for the competition in the business world, General Lin is still a very kind and soft-hearted person. The most obvious example was that Qianni and I had clearly done so many things to her, but she still had absolute trust in us. I can imagine that such a woman must be very tolerant towards her family and friends. So, half of General Lin's heart is ruthless, but more of it is soft-hearted." Lu Mingyu smiled slyly and whispered, "Don't tell General Lin about this. It'll be terrible if she gets angry and fires me." Yang Cheng forced a smile, but his heart was heavy. Lu Mingyu was right. Even a scumbag like Lin Kuan couldn't bear to see him die. She was indeed too kind in some aspects. What if I hurt someone she cares about to protect her? What do you think she'll do? Yang Chung asked nonchalantly. Lu Mingyu's eyes flickered. What are you going to do? Nothing. I'm just asking hypothetically. Yang Chung said. Lu Mingyu hesitated for a while before saying, if something like that really happens, I think it's best if you don't. General Lin is very stubborn. Even if he doesn't hate you, it'll be hard for him to get over it easily. Yang Chung let out a long sigh and didn't say anything else. After sending Lu Mingyu to the company, Yang Chung didn't rush to go upstairs. Instead, he found a quiet corner and called Adeline. Adeline, who had been monitoring Li Mingyu's movements, didn't waste any time and reported directly, Your Majesty Pluto, I'm really sorry. I can't get close to the villa where the target is. Although I can avoid the ordinary soldiers here, there are some special forces lying in ambush around the villa. If I get too close, I'll be discovered. Of course, if you need me, I could take care of those people. It'll just take some time. No need. They're not enemies. They're just being used. Keep an eye on them. Also, pay attention to anyone who enters or leaves that area. You can ask Mullen to provide support. As for the other team members, put aside everything else for now and pay close attention to Li Mingyu's communication with the outside world, Yang Chung said. Yes. After hanging up the phone, Yang Chung thought for a while. If he went to Li Mingyu's place now, it wouldn't be of much help. After all, the biggest problem now was the collapse of Yulei. Although he might be able to reverse the decline of the stock market by investing tens of billions of yuan, it was obviously not practical. It wasn't that he didn't have the money, but if he were to spend so much money to reverse the situation, it would be equivalent to admitting defeat. Not to mention anything else. Lin Ruashi's pride wouldn't allow him to help her. And if the person behind Li Mingyu didn't appear, Yang Chung wasn't in a hurry to close the net. Even if Yulei couldn't escape this disaster, Yang Chung hoped that the other party would pay the price. At the same time, in Beijing, the Ning family. Unlike the other three major families, the Ning family had the closest relationship with the government. Aside from their empty ancestral residence, their residence was located at the edge of the government. It was a modern and majestic building that was connected to the surrounding office buildings. After returning home from the premier's office, Ning Guangyao didn't even have the time to take a sip of water before he rushed into the backyard and entered his study room. Removing his jacket, Ning Guangyao turned on his computer and began to browse through the news on the internet. Among them, the most eye-catching news was the failure of Yulei International. Knitting his brows, Ning Guangyao suddenly picked up the phone beside him and dialed a number. After a few rings, the call connected. There seemed to be a woman's screams, music, and clamor coming from the other end of the phone. A man tried his best to laugh. Premier Ning, why are you calling at this time? A trace of disgust and hatred flashed in Ning Guangyao's eyes as he replied. Minister Jean, as an important member of the central government, you have to pay attention to your lifestyle. Minister Jean laughed. I'm sorry. Please calm down, Premier. I ran into an old classmate and couldn't get away. I'm ashamed, but I will definitely follow your instructions. Ning Guangyao wasn't willing to say more and said, I only found out this afternoon that there seems to be some problems in Zhonghai. As an important member of the CBRC, did Minister Jean take any measures? Minister Jean dragged his voice as if he was drinking before he said, Premier, you're talking about Yulei International, right? This time, Yulei International's problem isn't light, but it's still a business competition. We can only ask the banks to maintain a neutral attitude and do what needs to be done. Yulei is the leading enterprise in Zhonghai, and it's related to the economic lifeline of the Jiangnan region. It can't be destroyed like this. Minister Jean, all the major banks need to provide effective assistance. Don't be conservative. Ning Guangyao reprimanded. Minister Jean seemed a little dazed. Hearing Ning Guangyao's anger, he could only say submissively, Yes. Premier is right. I'll make a call right now and get my men to inform them to provide financial assistance. Ning Guangyao snorted heavily and hung up the phone. After the silence, Ning Guangyao got up and paced back and forth worriedly. He paced around the study a few times before stopping. Silently, Ning Guangyao took out his wallet and took out the yellowed old photo. He looked at the quiet woman in the picture and was slightly lost in thought. At this moment, a woman's voice came from outside the study. Guangyao, are you inside? I'm coming in. Chapter 701. Ning Guangyao quickly stuffed the photo back and smiled. Oh, Suishan, you're here. Luo Suishan gently pushed open the door and came in with a cup of tea. She looked at Ning Guangyao and smiled gently. Aren't you tired after a long day at work? Have some American ginseng. I think you've been burning up these few days. Ning Guangyao was touched. He took the tea and said, You're tired from work too, but you still take care of me. It's been hard on you. Luo Suishan smiled and shook her head. She happened to see the computer screen on Ning Guangyao's desk from the corner of her eyes. Ning Guangyao took a sip of the American ginseng tea. Seeing Luo Suishan's gaze on the computer screen, he said awkwardly, Oh right, is Guodong still not coming back? Yeah. Luo Suishan turned around and smiled helplessly. That kid is really going against you. You too. No matter what, we're father and son. He's our only son. No matter how wrong Guodong is, you should at least give him a way out. Only by being flexible can one achieve great things. If he can't take it, how can he take over the Ning family in the future? When I was young, my life wasn't as smooth as he is now. What else does he want to do? I think he's spoiled too much. He thinks everyone will back off when they see him. Can't he see that the Yang family is not to be trifled with? Ning Guangyao said exasperatedly. Luo Suishan nodded silently. Indeed, after father-in-law passed away, although we still have the highest power, we're still not qualified. We can't go against the two elders from the Yang family and Li family. Ning Guangyao sighed. Anyway, you just need to persuade him. If he really doesn't want to give in, I'll consider sending him to the underworld to train. When Luo Suishan heard this, she cried out involuntarily. Going out of town? Is this necessary? Those who go to other places only need to put together a resume. This is something that our Ning family doesn't need. Which place can compare to Yin Jing City to train people? Guangyao, don't worry. Although Guodong is immature sometimes, he's fine at work. Ning Guangyao snorted and did not argue with his wife. Luo Suishan looked uncertain for a while, and suddenly said in a low voice, Are you worried about Shui Zijing's daughter? Ning Guangyao's hand that was holding the teacup trembled, and he almost spilled the tea. He looked at Luo Suishan in astonishment. Luo, Suishan said bitterly, It's not like I don't know that you had a story with Shui Zijing in the past. What's so strange about that? But later, she married someone from the Lin family and gave birth to Lin Ruashi. We had a child long ago, and our lives have stabilized, so I didn't say anything. Ning Guangyao secretly sighed in relief and smiled guiltily. After all, she's the daughter of an old friend, and her parents are no longer around. I still feel pity for that child. Moreover, Yulei International is indeed an important part of the economic chain in the Jiangnan area. I still hope that she can get through this. A cold light flashed in Luo Suishan's eyes, and she raised her head and said softly, You're busy with work, so put these things aside for the time being. I happen to have something to do in Zhonghai tomorrow and the day after, so I'll go and help you lay on your behalf. If there's no one to supervise those people, they'll just pretend to be obedient but oppose them on the inside. It's better for me to go and take a look. You really? Ning Guangyao couldn't believe it. Luo Suishan rolled her eyes at her husband. Do you think I can hate Shui Zijing's daughter just because you and Shui Zijing had a relationship? The child is innocent, and I'm also doing this for the country's economy. Ning Guangyao was extremely grateful. He walked forward and held his wife's hands tightly. I've always been grateful for all the ups and downs we've gone through all these years. I didn't expect your heart to be wider than I thought. As a husband, I'm not as good as you. Suishan, to be honest, I was worried that you wouldn't be happy to see me care for that child. I'm so sorry for you. I'm really grateful that you can take care of her for me. Luo Suishan shook her head and smiled sincerely. For me, as long as I can help you, everything else doesn't matter. Ning Guangyao looked at his wife in front of him affectionately. His eyes were slightly moist and finally, he hugged his woman tightly. Zhonghai, Yulei International Building, brightly lit. It was already early in the morning, but the entire building didn't have anyone coming home from work. Many employees who were on shift also took the initiative to return to the company. They took turns working in front of the computer so that some people could get some food and water. According to Lin Ruashi's request, every 10 minutes, the company's accountants would have a large number of small stock purchases. The other departments were also trying their best to appease the various partners, trying their best to rope in the various organizations. In the command conference room, Lu Mingyu, who had already returned to the company, was closely discussing something with several executives from other departments. Meanwhile, Lin Ruashi was still sitting in her seat, looking at the various data on the monitor. She seemed to be lost in thought. At this time, the conference room door was opened. Everyone inside suddenly smelled a spicy aroma. For a moment, everyone in the conference room looked at the door. "Ha! Your nose is very sharp." Yang Chung suddenly carried a pile of things in both hands. He came to the side happily and placed the things on the conference table. He directly put a lot of documents under the things. If it was in the past, there would definitely be people dissatisfied with Yang Cheng's carelessness and disturbance. But now that Yang Chung had the identity of the CEO's husband, everyone was too embarrassed to question him. "Director Yang, what is this?" asked an executive. Lin Ruashi looked back coldly and also looked at Yang Chung. "What else could it be? It's a midnight snack." As Yang Chung spoke, he took out plastic bags of snacks from bag. Malatang, fried rice cakes, fried pork tenderloin, and all kinds of night market snacks were placed on the table. Everyone didn't have a full dinner, and they worked until early in the morning. When they saw these things that they usually didn't even look at, they all swallowed their saliva. However, everyone still looked at Lin Ruashi first. Lin Ruashi nodded lightly. "Don't look at me, eat." Only then did everyone ran over happily, took some food, and started eating in the conference room. After Yang Chung gave a bowl of beef ramen to Lu Mingyu, he took a few lamb skewers and brought them to Lin Ruashi's mouth. "Here, open your mouth." Lin Ruashi frowned and said softly, "Why does Mingyu get to eat beef ramen, but I can only eat lamb skewers?" Although she spoke softly, Lu Mingyu, who was sitting closest to her, heard it. She also realized that she was the only one who had beef ramen, so she could only pretend that she didn't know anything and lowered her head to eat the noodles. Yang Chung laughed dryly and moved closer to Lin Ruashi's ear. "Mingyu's father will take care of her in the future. Even if she doesn't work at Yulei, she will still be well off. As for you, if you don't want to be the CEO, come with me to sell lamb skewers. You have to get used to this taste first. I borrowed the stall and specially roasted it myself." When Lin Ruashi heard this, she immediately turned her head and looked at him angrily. "Is it fun to make such a joke? I don't need to get used to it." Yang Chung shrugged. "All right, then if you don't want to eat it, give the lamb skewers to Mingyu as well. I wasted so much time roasting them." When Lin Ruashi heard this, she quickly said, "No, I didn't eat dinner either." "Didn't you say that you don't need to get used to it? Wife, you can't be so fickle." Yang Chung said innocently, "Women are fickle to begin with. Can't they just fill their stomachs?" Lin Ruashi didn't say much. She directly took the lamb skewers from Yang Cheng's hands and started to take small bites. The few executives whispered to each other as they ate their supper. Although the company was in trouble, to be able to see Lin Ruashi eating lamb skewers at such a time was really refreshing. Yang Chung then placed the rest of the roasted lamb skewers in front of Lin Ruashi. There were more than 20 of them. He turned around and said to the crowd, "No one is allowed to steal my wife's lamb skewers. If I find out, I'll kick him off the roof." Yes. The few executives present didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but they all agreed. In fact, even if they had the guts, they wouldn't dare to snatch food from Lin Ruashi. Lin Ruashi stretched out her foot and kicked Yang Cheng's calf. Her face was as red as an apple. What kind of person was this? Yang Chung chuckled. He didn't feel embarrassed at all. After tidying up a bit, he took the remaining bags and was about to leave. Lin Ruashi asked, "Are we going to Chinny's place?" Yang Chung stopped in his tracks and turned around with a flattering smile. "My wife is wise. You have a brilliant plan." Humph, Lin Ruashi said disdainfully. You really aren't willing to leave a single one behind. Yang Chung sighed. There's nothing I can do. I'm too busy. After delivering to Qianyi, I still have to deliver to Anxin. Anxin? This time, even Lu Mingyu was curious. She wiped her lips that were stained with beef soup and asked, Anxin is also in the company and didn't go back. Of course, Yang Chung said proudly. If Anxin didn't help me guard my position, would I be able to freely deliver supper outside? This is division of labor and cooperation. I think you're just trying to be lazy. Lin Ruashi took a bite of the lamb skewer. She couldn't be bothered to look at this thick-skinned person anymore. Right at this moment, Yang Chung suddenly moved and his figure flashed close to Lin Ruashi. He bent down and gave Lin Ruashi a big TSK on the face. Everyone in the office was dumbfounded by what he had just said. Lin Ruashi was also a little stunned. She subconsciously touched her wet face and almost cried out in surprise. He was actually kissed in front of so many people. Yang Chung blinked and said, Anything is fine. Relax a little. No matter what the result is, no matter how big the problem is, I'll take care of it in the end. Lin Ruashi stared at the man, lost in thought for a while, then nodded slightly. Don't be afraid of anything. Wasn't there a tofu beauty in ancient times? At most, you can sell lamb skewers to me and be a mutton skewer beauty, Yang Chung said as he patted his chest. Lin Ruashi was just a little touched, but after hearing this, she instantly gritted her teeth. Scram! Yang Chung immediately ran away, waving at the people in the meeting room along the way, making everyone roll their eyes. Lu Mingyu held back her laughter and ate a few mouthfuls of noodles. She suddenly thought of something and said to Lin Ruashi, General Lin, if I remember correctly, tomorrow is the bidding for the 3 real estate developments in Bianzhou. We've prepared a project worth more than $1 billion. Now that our trump card has been exposed, do we still want to continue bidding? When Lin Ruashi heard that it was business, she immediately became serious. She didn't think much of it and said, Of course we have to go, but I'll send someone else. You can stay at the headquarters and direct the public relations department. General Lin, this isn't appropriate. Another executive heard and said hurriedly, Our stock price has already fallen below 30%. If we go to bid for such a big project at this time, especially when our opponents are already prepared, aren't we courting death? That's right, General Lin. This will only make us sink deeper and deeper. Lin Ruashi said unhappily, Of course I know that, but the problem is that if we really don't go, the outside world will definitely think that we're completely powerless to resist, and the employees will completely lose confidence. After hearing this, although everyone felt that it was inappropriate, they also felt that it made sense. The most terrifying thing was when the people's hearts were scattered. At this moment, a temporary assistant ran into the meeting room and said in a panic, General Lin, bad news. A few major shareholders requested an emergency meeting and asked to replace the CEO. Otherwise they'll sell their shares at a low price. Chapter 702. When this news came, everyone present was horrified. Why would they change the CEO at this critical moment? They spent hundreds of millions when they bought a large number of shares. Now that the shares have shrunk by 30 to 40%, that's tens of millions. It's hard not to be anxious. Lin Ruashi said to the assistant coldly, Tell them that if they want to sell, then sell. Don't think that I will go along with their wishes just because they threaten me. The assistant heard and said with a sad face, General Lin, then are we really going to fall out with them? Why? Do you want me to abdicate? Lin Ruashi asked back. One of the executives immediately said, General Lin, why don't I go and persuade the shareholders? Now that the major shareholders have nearly 30% of their shares, if they just sell it like this, we won't be able to get it back. Lin Ruashi snorted coldly. Do what you need to do? I said, don't worry about it. They bought it at nearly twice the current price. Are they really willing to sell it at a loss of half? The executives looked at each other and could only sigh helplessly, hoping that Lin Ruashi's plan was correct. Moreover, The one who held the most shares was Lin Ruashi herself. The shareholders' shares were also bought from her. Since the person who was losing the most said so, what else could they do? This night was destined to be a busy and thrilling night. Time passed slowly. The sun rose as usual the next day, bright and gorgeous, not affected by the gloomy clouds in the sky of Zhonghai at all. Inside a seaside villa, the curtains on the second floor were slowly pulled open. The warm sunlight shone into the bedroom, creating ripples, and the air was filled with a faint fragrance of incense. On the large bed, under the white bedding, Wu opened her sleepy eyes with a haggard face. Looking around, Wu touched her slightly swollen head, slowly sat up, and leaned against the back of the bed, a little absent-minded. After crying last night, she didn't know how she fell asleep. Now that she woke up here, it was probably because Li Mingyi carried her here last night. The bedroom door opened, and Li Mingyi came in with a tray. On the tray were some side dishes, porridge, and sliced corn. The aroma wafted through the air. Coming to Wu Yu's side, Li Mingyi smiled gently and said, "You're awake." "Huh. I don't really know how to cook, so I can only make something simple. You didn't eat anything last night, so don't be too upset. I cooked some porridge for you. Eat more." Wu Yu looked at the breakfast in front of her, then looked at the man with a warm smile, and said softly, "If you don't let me leave, I won't eat it." Li Mingyi's smile froze. He suppressed his anger and said as calmly as possible, I won't let you out. This was the safest place. They must have found out that I was the one who did it, and you were suspected of being an accomplice. Once they got out, it would be hard to clean up the mess. I won't let you take the risk. Wait until everything is settled before you go out. I'll let you go wherever you want to go." Wu Yu turned her head away. "Get out. I don't want to eat." "You must eat." Li Mingyi's voice was a little louder. He gritted his teeth and said, "Even if it's for the sake of our child in your stomach, you have to eat. Do you want your child to starve before he's even born?" Wu Yu's body trembled. Tears welled up in her eyes. It was obvious that she was in pain. Li Mingyi let out a long breath. "No matter what, our business is our business. Don't let this little one suffer." Wu Yu turned her head and looked at the man with a complicated expression. Seeing that Wu Yu didn't move, Li Mingyi simply picked up the spoon and scooped some porridge. He picked it up and blew on it to cool it down before bringing it to Wu Yu's mouth. "I'll feed you. Take it as I'm begging you. Eat a few bites, okay?" Wu Yu's hand trembled as she caressed her stomach. She took a deep breath and opened her mouth. In the end, she still ate. At the same time, the employees of Yulei International finally had a break after the stock market closed. Many people hurriedly began to catch up on sleep. Some ran out to deal with the business that needed to be met. Lin Ruashi, who had been busy all night without rest, was also forced to sit in the car by Yang Cheng all the way home. After all, she hadn't slept for a day and a night, and it was a high-intensity work. The employees still had shifts, but she, the CEO, was working alone. Although she was extremely unwilling, the moment she sat in the car, Lin Ruashi fell asleep. She only woke up when they reached home. Yang Cheng held the woman's hand and led the still dazed Lin Ruashi into the house. Mother Wang and Guo Xiuhua, who had been worried all night, were waiting in the living room. Jinxiu, on the other hand, was not at home because she was preparing for the exam. "Aya, why does this child look so pale?" Guo Xiuhua walked up and grabbed Lin Ruashi's hand. She said anxiously, "Quickly go upstairs and rest. You child, no matter how serious the company's problem is, it's not as important as your health." Mother Wang also had tears in the corner of her eyes. She couldn't say a word. Lin Ruashi forced a smile. "Mom, Mother Wang, I'm fine. I'll go up first." Guo Xiuhua nodded and quickly said to Yang Cheng, "Send her up. Look at her. She's stumbling. Don't fall. How about I help Ruashi take a bath?" Yang Cheng said with a smile. "You brat. You still have time to joke." Guo Xiuhua hit her son and pushed him to quickly send Lin Ruashi upstairs. Yang Cheng was only joking. Just a cold glance from the weak Lin Ruashi made him retreat. Holding the woman's hand, they went to her room. Yang Cheng smelled the faint jasmine fragrance in the air and licked his lips. If it wasn't for this, he wouldn't have had the chance to come in. After letting Lin Ruashi sit on the bed, Yang Cheng didn't leave. Instead, he sat beside Lin Ruashi. Lin Ruashi was slightly stunned. She asked nervously, "What are you doing?" Yang Chung chuckled. "Don't think too much. I don't want to do anything when you're so listless. I'm very concerned about the degree of women's cooperation." Lin Ruashi was already very sleepy. Hearing Yang Cheng's teasing, she wasn't as sensitive as usual. "Then you can go out. I'll sleep for a while." Yang Chung didn't answer. Instead, he pinched Lin Ruashi's white and tender palm with one hand. He channeled a stream of true essence and slowly inserted it. Lin Ruashi was puzzled. She felt a warm and inexplicable energy flowing into her body. Her entire body felt like it was being swept by a wave filled with vitality. Gradually, Lin Ruashi felt her mind clear and her eyes clear. She didn't feel the slightest bit tired. Lin Ruashi suddenly remembered that this guy seemed to have this kind of ability. After treating her poisoning, he also felt the same way. If you can help me recover so quickly, why don't you do this in the company?" Lin Ruashi said unhappily. Yang Chung let go of Lin Ruashi's hand and snorted. "If you did this in the company, would you still be willing to go home obediently? There's a lot of things to do in the company. Is it time to go home?" Lin Ruashi frowned in dissatisfaction. Yang Chung bluntly said, "You still have to go home. Don't you see how worried Mom and Mother Wong are about you? Even if it's to let them see that you're fine, you still have to come back. Right now, the news is full of negative news about you, Lei. Do you know how worried they are?" Lin Ruashi was stunned for a moment. She bit her lips and said, "Then now that I've recovered and I've seen Mom and the others, I can go back, right?" Yang Chung smiled mysteriously and said, "You really want to go back?" Lin Ruashi was a little confused, but she still nodded. "Yeah, I'll drive there myself. I know you won't do anything even if you go to the company." "That won't do." Yang Chung stood up and said, "I'll drive you there and buy some food on the way." Lin Ruashi felt that Yang Cheng's gaze was a little strange, but she couldn't figure out what it meant. She could only nod obediently. At such a time, when her sense of security was extremely low, a woman's instinct made her hope that there was someone she could rely on by her side. Although Mother Wong and Guo Xiuhua were very surprised, seeing that Lin Ruashi immediately went downstairs in high spirits, they couldn't forcefully stop her. They could only tell Yang Chung to take good care of her and not overwork himself. After leaving the door, they got into the car and returned to the company. Lin Ruashi sat in the front passenger seat. The more she thought about it, the weirder she felt. She asked tentatively, "Did you deliberately take me out for a ride? Actually, you didn't want me to sleep at all, right? Otherwise, there's no need to bring me home and let me recover so quickly." Yang Chung smiled evilly and said, "It doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm just trying to prove a guess of mine. If we stay in the company, it might be inconvenient for some people to move around." While Lin Ruashi was still puzzled, Yang Chung suddenly turned the steering wheel. The car got off the highway and entered an exit of the national highway. "Why are you walking here? If you want to buy food, you could go to the city ahead." Before Lin Ruashi could finish her sentence, a large container truck that was originally following behind the car suddenly sped up with a loud boom. The head of the truck was like a steel beast, with an indomitable and terrifying momentum. In the blink of an eye, it was going to hit and crush the Bentley they were in. Lin Ruashi didn't even have time to react before she was completely stunned. The bright red Bentley, under Yang Cheng's control, suddenly accelerated at almost the same time. Before the truck accelerated, Yang Cheng had already changed the gear to manual mode and lowered the gear, preparing for this sudden acceleration. The truck was only a few centimeters away from them, but it still couldn't catch up. Yang Cheng snorted coldly. The car exited the exit and did a 180-degree drift, stopping by the roadside. Chapter 703. The truck's inertia was too great, and it couldn't stop in time. It came down at a speed of more than 100 kilometers per hour, hitting the fence and flipping over. Bang, bang, bang. Boom. After a few loud noises, the truck completely fell into a muddy patch on the side of the road. Black and yellow dust rolled up, and the drivers who happened to pass by on the national highway broke out in a cold sweat. Lin Ruashi, who was still in shock, saw the truck flip over. The joy of escaping death didn't make her too excited. Instead, she quickly calmed down and looked back at Yang Cheng, who had a mocking expression on his face. You knew that someone wanted to harm me? Yang Cheng clicked his tongue. They didn't just want to harm you. They wanted to kill me as well. Originally, they could have done it in the hospital after you were poisoned, but unfortunately, you were discharged immediately, so their plan was disrupted. They couldn't arrange a suitable deployment in a short time. So when we return to Yulei from the hospital, there shouldn't be any problems. Now that the enemy has recovered, although we can't act rashly in the headquarters of Yulei, once we are alone in a more remote place, it would be strange if we didn't make a move. You mean we should go together? Lin Ruashi thought for a while and asked, I can understand if you want to kill me. After all, Li Mingyi came for me, and he should be afraid that I will find a chance to counterattack. But why kill you? Does he have a grudge against you too? Yang Cheng's expression changed slightly. Then he smiled and said, Who knows? I guess he wants to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots, not giving me a chance to take revenge. Lin Ruashi obviously didn't believe it, but she didn't ask any more questions. She pouted and said, No wonder you insisted on driving me to the company. You knew, but you didn't tell me in advance. Although I know you won't be afraid of such ordinary means, you should have let me be mentally prepared. Yang Cheng became silent, started the car, and continued on the road. With a flicker in his eyes, he asked, Ruashi, do you hate Li Mingyi now? Lin Ruashi looked at Yang Cheng in surprise, not understanding why he was so serious again. I don't really hate him, but I definitely don't like him. Even now, I still don't know why he would target me so much. He would do so many things just to make me fail and lose my life. Yang Cheng frowned and asked, Don't you hate him for wanting to kill you and me? I think he deserves to be shot to death. Lin Ruashi furrowed her brows. I know you're worried about me, but I think it's better to settle this through legal means. If we follow and kill people because of others' misdeeds, then how are we different from them? Why are you still talking to me about morality at a time like this? He already wants to grind you into minced meat. Yang Cheng sneered impatiently. Lin Ruashi bit her lip and said, I'm not you. I can defeat my opponents in the business world, and I can calmly watch them go bankrupt. But I can't take people's lives or indirectly. I'm just an ordinary businessman, and I can't do things that are too exaggerated. You can think that I'm very sentimental, and you can be impatient with me, but I just can't kill people because I want to. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly and shook his head. We're all women, but women are really different from each other. If Qiang Wei were to encounter this matter, I don't need to say anything. She would lead a team to kill them herself. Lin Ruashi rolled her eyes at him angrily. You don't have to use Qiang Wei to provoke me. I won't compete with her in this kind of behavior. Don't you know where Li Mingyi is? You're so powerful. Why don't you just arrest him and bring him to the police station? Wouldn't that be the end of it? Yang Cheng sighed. If he doesn't die, it doesn't matter where he goes. Instead of beating the grass and alerting the snake, it's better to cast a long line to catch a big fish. You don't have to worry about it. I'll do the job of protecting your safety. The car fell into silence again. Neither of them spoke. When they arrived at a street full of snacks, Yang Cheng got out of the car and bought a box of glutinous rice balls for Lin Ruashi before continuing on the road. Looking at the box of her favorite glutinous rice balls in her arms, Lin Ruashi looked at the man whose face was as dark as the water. She said softly, Yang Cheng, am I very useless? Do I make you feel like I'm a burden? Yang Cheng smiled. Don't let your imagination run wild. You can let a thick-skinned and cunning man be your husband, and I can let a woman who is overly kind in some aspects be my wife. Marriage is supposed to tolerate each other, isn't it? How can there really be a husband and wife who like everything? A trace of a smile appeared on Lin Ruashi's beautiful face, and she nodded. In the afternoon, in the center of Zhonghai, in the conference room of the headquarters of Huaxia, Luo Suishan, who was wearing a professional suit, walked into the conference room with a few assistants following her. The presidents of the major banks, who had been waiting for a while, immediately greeted her with a smile. They looked quite excited. After all, she was the prime minister's wife, and she was also a minister. After shaking hands with everyone, Luo Tsuishan invited them to take a seat. She went straight to the point and asked, "How's the development of the Ulay International incident?" A white-haired old bank said with a smile, "Thank you for your concern, Director Luo. Ulay International shares in the United States have fallen by more than 35%. The situation is not optimistic. Moreover, the leaked information has made it difficult for Ulay to pull itself together. However, our major firms have received a notice from Minister Jean of the CBRC that Ulay will be given some special convenience policies. It is understandable to help such a large multinational enterprise." Luo Tsueshan said with a faint smile, "Presidents, you are all experienced veterans in the financial field. I'd like to ask you, does Ulay International have a chance to survive this crisis?" Sigh. Another bank president sighed. Although it's hard to say, anyone with a bit of common sense can see it clearly. At this rate, Ulay shares will definitely fall when the market opens this afternoon. Once it falls below 50%, even the gods won't be able to save it. We have also calculated that unless Ulay has over 40 billion in cash reserves and invests all of it in the stock market. But if it really has that amount of money, it would have already started to invest, and it wouldn't have waited until today. The other bank presidents also agreed that the financial aid would only be drinking poison to quench thirst. At most, it would only help Ulay to delay its bankruptcy. Luo Tsueshan said with a wry expression, "If that's the case, then I think it's best that you don't make any more unnecessary investments." When everyone heard this, they looked at each other in surprise. "Director Luo, didn't you come today to talk to us about helping Ulay?" "Why?" Luo Tsueshan said earnestly. "The premier is far away in Beijing, and he's not too familiar with the situation. He's only concerned about the well-known domestic enterprises. Since everyone has said so, even if the premier says he wants to help, it has to be based on the actual situation. Of course, this is what I said, so you don't have to bear the responsibility. But in order to not make the premier too sad, please pretend that nothing happened, and don't let the premier know about this. I think everyone should be able to save some face for my husband, right?" The bank presidents looked at Luo Tsueshan's cold smile, and they couldn't help but shiver. Since Director Luo has said so, of course we have to be pragmatic. We won't make any futile efforts. We will cancel the aid plan for Ulay. The bank presidents agreed. Luo Tsueshan revealed a relaxed smile and said, "Everyone has worked hard. I can't stay for too long this time, so I won't be gathering for lunch. If there's a chance next time, I'll definitely drink with everyone together with the premier." Everyone quickly stood up and bowed as they sent Luo Tsueshan out of the conference room, not daring to have any objections. When they walked out of the conference room and entered the elevator, the smile on Luo Tsueshan's face disappeared, and she asked the assistant behind her coldly, "How's the preparation going?" The assistant quickly replied, "It's done, and the information is very complete. It can be sent to Lin Ruoshi whenever necessary." Luo Tsueshan praised, "Well done," and asked, "Is that idiot still honest?" The assistant smiled evilly. "Yes, he's been staying in the villa with the woman he used. This is the last moment, and we have to make arrangements abroad, just in case. We can't make any mistakes," Luo Tsueshan said coldly. "Yes." At the same time, the elevator door opened, and they arrived at the bottom floor. Luo Tsueshan smiled gently again, and she walked out of the elevator like a spring breeze. Chapter 704. In the afternoon, in the living room on the first floor of the beach villa, Li Mingyi sat on the sofa, watching the news about Ulay on the TV from time to time, while answering the phone with a gloomy face. "So many flawless arrangements, and you're telling me that you didn't succeed even once? Could it be that Lin Ruoshi and Yang Cheng are gods? Can you even guess it?" Li Mingyi gritted his teeth in anger. "I'm sorry, Mr. Li. Our team has never encountered such a tricky problem before. That Yang Cheng doesn't seem to be simple. He and the people around him always defused the ambush we arranged. But he didn't make any direct counterattacks, which surprised us," the person on the phone said unwillingly. Li Mingyi narrowed his eyes. "If that's the case, don't act rashly for now. I'll find a way to find people to support you." "Yes. Thank you for your leniency, Mr. Li." Li Mingyi snorted heavily and hung up the phone. Standing up, Li Mingyi looked toward the entrance of the villa. "You heir, where do you want to go?" At the entrance was Wu Yu, who was trying to sneak out of the villa. Wu Yu turned around nervously, bit her lips, and opened the door without hesitation, wanting to run out. However, before Wu Yu could step out of the door, two sturdy men with rifles suddenly appeared at the door and blocked her from entering the house. Wu Yu retreated back into the house in panic, slamming the door shut. She stared at Li Mingyi and asked in a trembling voice, "Li Mingyi, what do you mean by this? Are you trying to imprison me?" Li Mingyi strode towards Wu Yu and gently touched her face. "How could that be? You're the mother of my future child. I'll treat you well. It's just that the situation now is special. You have to stay by my side so that I can protect you. I don't want to hear your disgusting excuses. I heard it. You want to murder General Lin and his wife, right? I won't let you succeed. I'm going to tell General Lin." Wu Yu said stubbornly. Li Mingyi shook his head and smiled. "You heir, you're really naive. Do you think that Lin Ruoshi and Yang Cheng didn't realize that they were assassins sent by me? They already knew that I was going to kill them, but they couldn't do anything about it. Moreover, regardless of whether they died or not, once Yulei International went bankrupt, Lin Ruoshi would no longer be the CEO and chairman. Yulei will fall in my hands sooner or later. What right do you have to say that? You're just an outsider. Even if General Lin were to abdicate, it wouldn't be your turn." Wu Yu said disdainfully. "Outsiders? Huh, it's time for you to know what kind of person I am." Li Mingyi pinched Wu Yu's chin with one hand. "Lin Ruoshi is just a bastard child that no one wants. Letting her enjoy the limelight for so many years is already giving her preferential treatment. It won't be long before I show you how your most respected General Lin ends up." Wu Yu still wanted to say something, but Li Mingyi covered her mouth. "Don't say anymore. It's not good to be angry. I'll be worried if the baby is affected." Li Mingyi hugged Wu Yu's arm again and led her inside. "You better follow me upstairs and rest well. I've already sent someone to buy some fresh food. I'll cook something nice for you later." A pregnant woman shouldn't care too much about unimportant things. Wu Yu was full of worry, but she couldn't resist. She could only let the man control her and go upstairs. After sending Wu Yu back to her room, Li Mingyi went downstairs and heard the sound of the door opening. His nerves tensed. Li Mingyi carefully looked over. When he saw the person walking in, he heaved a sigh of relief and went up to greet her with a flattering smile. "Why did you suddenly come to Zhonghai?" Li Mingyi went up to greet her. The well-dressed, beautiful woman was Luo Suishan, who had just arrived after making some arrangements. Luo Suishan looked at the decorations in the villa. "You haven't been harassed while staying here, have you?" Li Mingyi hurriedly said, "Thank you for taking care of me and sending so many people to protect me. I'm really grateful. If you're really grateful to me, then do it nicely. I've spent so much effort to train you for so many years. I don't want you to reap benefits for nothing." Luo Tsueshan didn't even look at the man. She paced around and said, "If it wasn't for the fact that you're more sensible than your father, I wouldn't have helped you. You understand what I mean, right?" Li Mingyi's expression changed slightly. "I've never doubted you. I hate Lin Ruoshi, so I'll never let you down." Luo Tsueshan turned around and mocked. "Do you know what I like about you the most?" Li Mingyi shook his head. "Your hypocrisy." Luo Tsueshan sneered. "Do you think I'll believe that you don't hate me in your heart? I believe that if I give you a chance, you can't wait to crush my bones and scatter my ashes. But the good thing about you is that you're willing to be a beast that's worse than pigs and dogs for some practical things. I like people like you. The human heart can't compare to money and power, right?" Li Mingyi's facial muscles stiffened. He smiled, which was uglier than crying. "You're right. Huh?" Luo Tsueshan laughed sinisterly. "How's Yulei's situation?" Li Mingyi quickly composed himself and answered seriously. "Lin Ruoshi's reaction to the outside world is as if Yulei is completely capable of surviving. There are a few major projects planned today, and Yulei went as usual. Among them, there are 3 land auctions near Bianzhou, and Yulei still went despite revealing their trump cards. It was reported on the news just now. This is no different from digging their own grave. Not only will they lose those few important pieces of land, but it will also completely dishearten the shareholders of Yulei. I believe that Yulei's stock will completely collapse before the market opens for long. What about the assassination? Li Mingyi said unwillingly. Yang Cheng is harder to deal with than I thought, and they all failed. A cold light flashed in Luo Cuishan's eyes. Although we can't be sure of Yang Cheng's background, from the looks of it, he's not ordinary. Otherwise, the old man from the Yang family wouldn't think so highly of him. It's a pity that we can't get some information from the Li family. Otherwise, we'd be able to find out where he came from. If we can't get rid of Lin Ruoxi and Yang Cheng, then Li Mingyi looked at Luo Cuishan worriedly. Luo Cuishan said disdainfully, "So what? Once Yulei falls, Lin Ruoxi will scatter. With my help and the government's involvement, what can a discredited CEO of a private company do? Moreover, your qualifications are more than enough. As long as the government supports us a little, Yulei will still be able to recover in a year or two." Li Mingyi's eyes lit up again. "I'll do my best. You're already this excited with just this little bit of sweetness. You'll never amount to anything." Luo Cuishan looked at him with disdain and turned around. Taking away Lin Ruoxi's most cherished Yulei is only the first step. Shui Zijing's daughter. I'm going to slowly torture her to my heart's content. Li Mingyi quietly raised his head and looked at Luo Cuishan's back. As he listened to her sinister words, his eyes were filled with hatred. In the evening, as the New York Stock Exchange reopened, Yulei shares once again ushered in a frenzy of decline. At the headquarters of Yulei in Zhonghai, the employees were looking at the large number of shares being sold at low prices on the screen. Almost all of them were at a loss and didn't know what to do. In the conference room, other than Yang Cheng, who was napping on a few chairs in the corner like air, Mo Qinyi, Lu Mingyu, and the rest of the senior management were also frowning. They couldn't imagine how Yulei's operations would be maintained if this continued. Even if the internal funds could last for a period of time, the neighboring companies would also take a detour around Yulei. At the same time, it would be difficult to keep up with the planning of the market. From the most basic materials to the processing and sales of the finished products, the whole chain of production would become a headless fly. General Lin, the major shareholders are starting to cut their losses. Right now, our share price is less than 40% of what it used to be. The head of the accounting department said dispiritedly, "This is all the fault of those bastards at the bank. Yesterday, they said they would provide financial assistance, and suddenly they say that we are short of funds. Aren't they just throwing stones at us when we are down?" Lin Ruoxi, who had been sitting in the chair without saying a word, ignored them. Instead, she picked up the phone on the table and dialed a number. "Let's start." Lin Ruoxi said these 3 words lightly, as if she was muttering it out of nowhere. Everyone in the conference room looked at each other, not knowing what Lin Ruoxi meant. This young company leader had always been like an untouchable hibiscus on a towering snowy mountain. Whether it was her attitude of keeping a distance from the people around her or her taciturn personality, no one dared to blaspheme her. In fact, it was difficult to even stare at her. But at this time, when the survival of the company was at stake, the senior management couldn't help but lose control of their emotions. "General Lin, hurry up and give us some instructions. Even if we have to risk our lives, we have to do it. If this goes on, we can directly apply for bankruptcy. Anyway, even if we keep our shares, we won't be able to resist the encirclement of competitors. Right now, no one is willing to buy our shares. It's obvious that we will be trapped. How can we protect ourselves? Why don't we give up on part of the business and catch up with the planning of the main business as soon as possible? Think of another way out?" At this time, Mo Qinyi, who had been silent all this time, pointed at the screen. "Stop talking, look." The people who were arguing looked at the stock market information again. Then they were stunned. Chapter 705. What's going on? Where are the stocks that were just sold? Someone bought them. In the stock market, Yulei International stocks, regardless of whether it was a large number or a small number, were all swept up in a frenzy within a minute or two. This lightning-fast attack made everyone feel that it was inconceivable. After all, who would be so stupid as to do a business that was clearly losing money? Lu Mingyu seemed to have thought of something and turned to ask Lin Ruoshi, General Lin, was it you who gave the order just now? The group of people looked over curiously. They couldn't understand. Even if Lin Ruoshi bought a large number of shares, what was the use of it? Lin Ruoshi didn't deny it. I asked the Athena team to buy up the stocks on the market as fast as possible. But, General Lin, even if you spend more than 10 billion to buy up all the stocks, you will only be trapped. It will be of no use. An executive sighed bitterly. The others also didn't understand Lin Ruoshi's actions. Yang Chung, who had been lying on a chair in the corner, opened his eyes and looked at Lin Ruoshi from behind for a while, then closed his eyes to rest. Lin Ruoshi didn't explain much. Instead, she silently took out a thin document from a document bag beside her and pushed it to the center of the conference table. Lu Mingyu, who was closest to her, had sharp eyes. It's the notice of winning the bid. Winning the bid? What project? A few executives moved forward in confusion and flipped through the contents of the notice. Once again, they revealed surprised expressions. One of them looked at the notice in disbelief, then looked at the calm expression on Lin Ruoshi's face and cried out involuntarily, General Lin, we won the bid for the 3 pieces of land in Bianzhou today. Can't you read? If you don't understand now, then you succeeded? Another executive laughed and scolded excitedly. Am I seeing things? It's not fake. It's the notice that was just sent today. Can't you even tell if it's real or fake? Your brain must be fried. But hasn't our bidding plan been leaked? We're talking about the 3 most important leisure and entertainment bases in the future. The other companies won't let go of such an opportunity. Everyone was filled with all kinds of doubts. This matter was full of question marks. Mo Qianni and Lu Mingyu looked at Lin Ruoshi, who was as cold as ice and silent. They exchanged glances with each other, as if they had thought of something but didn't dare to imagine it. At this time, Yangqing opened his eyes and silently looked at the woman who was so calm that it was a little strange. His expression was a little complicated. Lin Ruoshi finally opened her mouth and said to Lu Mingyu, Mingyu, get the media to release the news of our successful bid. Also, go to my office, take out the contents of my safe, and bring them here. I've changed the password to the same as your safe. Go. Lu Mingyu didn't ask much and got up to deal with it. 10 minutes later, in the seaside villa, after Luo Suishan left, Li Mingyi let Wu Yu go downstairs. At this moment, although Wu Yu's face was full of anger, she could only watch the news on TV with Li Mingyi. Li Mingyi raised his red wine glass and smiled proudly. Lin Ruoshi is really desperate. She thinks that buying back those trap stocks will work. Wang Pa is selling her melons and praising herself. How boring. Wu Yu's eyes were full of pain. She wanted to say that Lin Ruoshi definitely wouldn't fail, but she couldn't see any hope. At this moment, the host of the financial news suddenly interrupted with a piece of news. Yulei International won the bid of Bianzhou's 3 major real estate companies. Along with it, the notice of winning the bid was also displayed, and the phone was connected to the relevant departments. Indeed, Yulei had won the bid in the afternoon, and the notice was sent out not long ago. This news made Li Mingyi frown. Of course, he knew that this project was very important, so the information that was disseminated included Yulei International's proposal. However, he couldn't understand how Yulei could win under such circumstances. Wu Yu's face showed a glimmer of hope. In these 2 days, this was the only piece of news that was beneficial to Yulei. And not long after this news was released, another explosive piece of news was broadcasted on TV. Yulei International was about to hold an impromptu media conference to clarify the false information that their internal information had been stolen. When this news came out, it was like a heavy bomb. Not only did it cause an uproar in Shanghai, but people all over the world who were paying attention to this matter couldn't believe it. False information? The leaked information that didn't contain any false elements was false. How is this possible? The red wine glass in Li Mingyi's hand fell to the carpet, and his facial expression became stiff. He gulped and couldn't say a word. A phone call came in, and Li Mingyi quivered. He picked up the phone in a daze, and what greeted him was Luo Suishan's fierce scolding. You idiot. What's going on? Li Mingyi covered his chest with one hand and said with a heavy breath, "Please calm down. I think this may be a deliberate bluff by Lin Ruoshi. She wants to take drastic measures at the last moment. You have to know that the information was accumulated from a few months ago until now, month after month. How could it be false? I hope you didn't make any mistakes otherwise. I'm still in Zhonghai. I don't want to go back to Yinjing in a bad mood." Luo Tsuishan hung up the phone angrily, and Li Mingyi's hand holding the phone was trembling. Just a few minutes ago, in Yulei's conference room, Lu Mingyu, along with a few assistants, moved a small mountain of information to the table in the conference room. Lu Mingyu's eyes were filled with complex emotions, with excitement, surprise, and a trace of fear. She nodded at Lin Ruoshi and said, "General Lin, everything you want is here. Thank you for your hard work." Lin Ruoshi slowly stood up and said to everyone, "Here are the real original copies of the stolen information. Everyone can come and take a look." All the executives thought that they had heard wrongly. The real original copies? What did that mean? Could it be that the information that was stolen was fake? A few executives trembled as they took the documents and read them carefully. After a while, they were all stunned. This is really a material procurement case. When was this ordered? Me too. This is next month's budget. Why does it seem a little different from the one online? The distribution plan for the European and American branches is also different from what we discussed in the last meeting. After everyone confirmed it one by one, they finally believed that this pile of information was the real Yulei's confidential files for the second half of the year. Although some of the documents that were stolen were missing, there were no major omissions in the main body. It could be said that as long as these plans were implemented, even if they couldn't be very meticulous, they only needed to make some last-minute additions, and there would be no problems. Lin Ruoshi wasn't too excited because of everyone's excitement. She calmly said to Mo Chinny, "Go and talk to the TV station, call for a media conference, and clarify this incident. Our important business information for the second half of the year was not stolen. Those are all fake." Mo Chinny had just recovered from the shock, and her eyes were filled with joy. Although all of this was very sudden, and she didn't know what was going on, she knew that there was going to be a complete and utter rebound. "I'm not good at dealing with the media, so I won't be making an appearance. Chinny, as the company's vice president and representative, help me make an appearance. You also know what to say," Lin Ruoshi instructed again. "I understand." Mo Chinny immediately ran out. Lin Ruoshi then said to Lu Mingyu and the others, "I know you all want to know how I did it, but now is not the time to explain. Everyone, go to your own departments and explain the current situation to your employees. From now on, follow the plan here, do what you need to do, and fill in the gaps if there are any. Mingyu, pay special attention to the explanations given to the overseas branch companies, major clients, and important partners. Calm them down and give them some appropriate benefits." At this moment, everyone was looking at the woman who was calmly commanding with admiration. These veterans who had been in the workplace for decades couldn't help but sigh. Lin Ruoshi's methods were far better than her appearance. Although they didn't know, when Lin Ruoshi finished making these arrangements, the current situation could be said to be a perfect counter-espionage case. As everyone left with the information they needed, the conference room became quiet. Yang Cheng, who had been lying down without getting up, slowly walked to Lin Ruoshi, sat down on the conference table, and asked with a gloomy face, "When did it start?" Lin Ruoshi lowered her head, and after a moment of silence, she said in a clear voice, "Is it that important? It's fine as long as it's over." "It's very important. I really want to know, when did you start to lie to everyone, including me?" Yang Cheng said. Lin Ruoshi raised her head, and a trace of resentment appeared in her moist eyes. "Why are you talking to me in such a tone? I never thought of lying to anyone. I was just doing my preparation work." "Ayaya, I can't help but sigh at Miss Lin's acting skills. It's a pity that you didn't participate in the Oscars." "All right then, I'll just treat it as me being curious. When did such a beautiful layout start? Satisfy my curiosity. That should be fine, my dear wife," Yang Cheng drawled. Chapter 706. Lin Ruoshi clenched her teeth and her pink lips quivered for a while. She glanced at Yang Chung from the corner of her eyes and said, "I've been preparing since Li Mingyi started pursuing Wu Yu." Yang Chung was stunned. Although he knew that Lin Ruoshi had already made arrangements, he did not expect Lin Ruoshi to have started it so early. How meticulous did she have to be able to do it step by step? What? Yang Chung frowned. Li Mingyi was sent by Li Muhua. What's wrong with him pursuing Wu Yu? I've investigated Li Mingyi's situation beforehand. He grew up in America and has only been working for Muyun Corporation in Hong Kong for a few years. In other words, Li Muhua doesn't know him very well, but Muyun sent him to participate in the important liaison work. Li Muhua actually didn't want to make this decision, but the shareholders' meeting elected him. Li Muhua didn't want to reject the other major shareholders, so she did it. That's why I didn't trust him from the start. Moreover, after he joined the company, he didn't have any interest in any other women. Instead, he's very devoted to Wu Yu. Although we can't rule out the possibility that he has special feelings for Wu Yu, objectively speaking, a person who grew up in America wouldn't have an aesthetic sense that favors a skinny figure like Wu Yu. Yang Chung smiled when he heard this. Well, you must be sad to hear that about your assistant. But that doesn't make you think that he'll steal business secrets, right? Lin Ruoshi smiled. I've never guessed it. Then why did you prepare other plans? Yang Chung was even more confused. Lin Ruoshi said teasingly, "What do you think I spend tens of millions every year to support those people from Athena team? Don't tell me you really think that they're only in charge of financial work." Yang Chung was stunned. You're saying that from the beginning, you let Athena team participate in the planning and made 2 plans. I didn't just make 2 copies. Lin Ruoshi's eyes lit up. I'll be honest with you. Every time I make a copy for Wu Yu, I'll change some important details. In other words, be it Mingyu or the other department heads, I was the only one who knew if the copies were real or fake. After all, every piece of information contained a huge amount of information. It was impossible for everyone to check it frequently. If they did not verify it, they would not know if it had been modified. According to the rules, every time these materials are used, they have to be sent to my office for my approval before they can be used. This is a practice that I have established since I took office. And when those backup documents are submitted, I will change them back to the correct original document. Otherwise, even if this document were to be leaked, it would be wrong for others to refer to the information on it. Yang Chung was stupefied. No wonder Lin Ruoshi always had endless work to do. What was going on in this woman's head all day? In a sense, Lin Ruoshi was the only one who knew all the details of the company's major decisions. Everyone else was basically in a half-deceived state. Lin Ruoshi seemed to enjoy Yang Chung being stunned by her words. She continued, "Do you understand now? The documents that Li Mingyi stole were all modified by me after our meeting. In fact, even if I didn't take out the modified plan from Athena team, those documents wouldn't have caused too much damage to our company because there were too many mistakes in the details. The reason why I took out the Athena team's plan was because I didn't want the people in the company to know that I tampered with the plan." After the speech, Yang Chung looked at the beautiful woman in front of him with a smile, and a myriad of thoughts flashed through his mind. Thinking back to before, Lin Ruoshi let the people in the accounting department buy a small amount of shares. And when the major shareholders threatened her to sell their shares, she deliberately didn't let Mo Qianni and the others in the company participate in the bidding, and she was so worried that she forgot to eat and sleep in the company. All of this was to make the outside world think that she was powerless to change the situation and to guide things towards her goal. Involuntarily, Yang Chung couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. The woman in front of him seemed to become blurry about an hour later. The press conference of Yulei International began under the eager expectations of the reporters. Mo Qianni followed Lin Ruoshi's instructions and briefly explained the real plans of the company for the second half of the year, and gave a few examples to show that the exposed information was not credible. The most direct example was that Yulei still successfully bid for 3 important pieces of real estate. The media and the public were in an uproar. No one thought that the exposed information was actually invalid. Following the implementation of the plan designed by the Athena team, the operations of each department returned to normal again. All the work could be carried out, and the doubts of the outside world completely dissipated. That night, the continuous news made the whole of Shanghai completely sleepless. Far away in the American stock market, after Yulei International got rid of the negative information of the exposed confidential documents, the value of its shares skyrocketed once again. What made many of the competitors feel even more bitter was that they believed part of the exposed information, and the actions they took to buy the materials were equivalent to being misled by Yulei's fake documents, and caused huge losses. In this way, one side lost, the other side gained. The gap between Yulei International and its competitors widened once again, and these misled companies could only swallow the bitterness in their stomach. After all, their actions were not honorable. Some of the previous major shareholders of Yulei International wished that they could just kill themselves. The shares they bought from Lin Ruoxi were priceless, but now they were sold cheaply and returned to Lin Ruoxi's hands. But in the blink of an eye, those shares multiplied several times, and in the blink of an eye, they were about to break the previous value and reach another peak. In this way, it was equivalent to Lin Ruoxi earning a huge difference of 35% of the shares, easily increasing her personal assets by at least 30%. At the same time, she once again occupied 90% of the shares and had absolute control. The media, reporters, economists, entrepreneurs, and all kinds of financial scholars were the first to express their feelings about this commercial anti-spy war. The young female entrepreneur who had previously saved Yulei International from the brink of death twice was once again pushed to the peak of public opinion and was highly respected. Even in the American Times Magazine's annual Person of the Year award, Lin Ruoxi had the potential to break into the top 3. Even in the American Times Magazine's annual Person of the Year award, Lin Ruoxi had the potential to break into the top 3. There were pros and cons to everything. When Yulei International once again ushered in the nirvana that the employees of the world were excited about, some people felt as if they had fallen from heaven to hell. Inside the seaside villa, watching all kinds of news praising Lin Ruoxi's miraculous counterattack, Li Mingyi's face was ashen, and he even forgot to breathe. It's impossible. It's impossible. Li Mingyi's footsteps were unsteady, and he directly stumbled and knelt on the ground. Almost crawling, Li Mingyi used all 4 limbs to lie in front of the television, his eyes wide open, as if they were about to burst, and his soul seemed to have flown away. Although Wu Yu had always been resentful, but seeing her beloved man in such pain, she still rushed forward with tears streaming down her face and hugged him, comforting him. "Mingyi, don't be like this, it's okay. Don't scare people like this, okay?" Li Mingyi stiffly turned his head and suddenly grabbed both of Wu Yu's arms and forcefully shook them, shouting, "What do you mean it's okay? Didn't you see? I was used by that bitch. She had schemed against me from the beginning. She schemed against me. She used me to earn money for her, and even beat me up. Are you blind?" Wu Yu cried and shook her head, biting her lips, but could not say anything. "Cry, cry, cry. All you know is to cry. It must be you stupid woman who dragged me back, and he found out." As he spoke, Li Mingyi was so angry that he trembled, and suddenly, with a pa sound, he ruthlessly slapped Wu Yu's face. Wu Yu was hit so hard that she rolled to the side and almost fainted. Her face was burning, and she cried even louder. After this slap, Li Mingyi seemed to have sobered up a little, and seemed to realize that the woman he hit was a pregnant woman, and for a moment he panicked. Li Mingyi panted a few times on the spot, and then crawled over to hug Wu Yu, and said with a trembling voice, "I'm sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. Li Mingyi could not continue, and in his despair he felt the world go dark, and his mind was blank. Bang! A loud sound came from the door, and it was kicked open. Luo Tsuishan carried a leather bag, and with a violent and gloomy face, she rushed in, and her high heels made a ta-ta sound. Seeing the man and woman hugging each other by the sofa, Luo Tsuishan gritted her teeth in hatred. "Idiot, comparing you to a pig is already flattering you. At this time, you still know how to hug a woman and cry here? Look at what you have done." Li Mingyi sluggishly raised his head, and with his lifeless eyes, he bitterly smiled. I am an idiot. You are right. I am. Luo, Kashan slanted her mouth, and a trace of killing intent flashed in her eyes. A thing like you that is neither human nor ghost is useless in this world. As she spoke, Luo Tsushan suddenly pulled out a silver pocket pistol from her bag and aimed it at Li Mingyi's head. Li Mingyi finally became more clear-headed, and looking at the black muzzle, his pupils dilated a little. 10 minutes ago, Yulei International Headquarters, inside the CEO's office. Yang Cheng accompanied Lin Ruoshi as they sat on the sofa, watching the live broadcast of the media meeting that had yet to end. Because the reporters had a lot of questions, plus everyone was eager to see Lin Ruoshi in person, and Lin Ruoshi didn't want to appear in front of the public, a large number of reporters refused to give up and leave. At this moment, on Lin Ruoshi's lap, was the box of glutinous rice balls that she bought in the afternoon. She hadn't eaten it the whole afternoon, and now that the matter was almost settled, Lin Ruoshi took it out and ate it. Yang Cheng's heart was a little melancholy, and he didn't say much, so the atmosphere was a little awkward. At this moment, Yang Cheng's phone vibrated, and Yang Cheng picked it up to listen. It was a call from Adeline, who was monitoring Li Mingyi. Your Majesty, Pluto, that woman with the surname Luo, came for the second time. Now that the situation is clear, do we need to take any action? Yang Cheng silently glanced at Lin Ruoshi beside him and said in Italian, You don't need to do anything. I'll go there myself later. It's time to meet them. Yes. After hanging up the phone, Yang Cheng said to Lin Ruoshi, I'm going out for a while. If it's late, you can go home by yourself. Lin Ruoshi stopped chewing, put down the half-eaten glutinous rice ball in her hand, and said vaguely, I know you're going to see Li Mingyi. If it's possible, it's better to hand him over to the police. And if Yu is also there, don't make things difficult for her. She actually doesn't know anything. Yang Cheng said, You've never thought of going with me to see them? Lin Ruoshi shook her head. I believe you. You promised me that you wouldn't kill people. As for the rest, I don't care too much. Yang Cheng relaxed and smiled, took a glutinous rice ball from Lin Ruoshi, stuffed it into his mouth, and walked out the door. Lin Ruoshi watched the man go out angrily, and then looked at the box that was missing a glutinous rice ball, looking very distressed. After about a minute or two, someone knocked on the door. General Lin, there's a file designated for you. Lin Ruoshi hurriedly covered the glutinous rice ball, stuffed it under a pillow, and sat upright, saying, Bring it in. A temporary assistant with an uneasy expression entered the door, put the file in front of Lin Ruoshi, and immediately left. Chapter 707. After the assistant left and closed the door, Lin Ruoshi made sure that there was no one outside, then carefully took out the glutinous rice balls. She picked one up and put it in her mouth, then opened the bag empty-handed. This was not the first time she had received such a file bag. As the company grew, there would be all kinds of problems. People who wanted to discuss something in secret would often send some information to her in an attempt to convince her. Lin Ruoshi pretended to be bored and changed her mood. She took out a slightly thick file. After looking at it carefully, Lin Ruoshi frowned. This was actually a person's file. It often talked about a person's various main experiences and backgrounds from childhood to adulthood. When Lin Ruoshi flipped to the first page and saw an old photo, she revealed a trace of unconcealable shock. Her gaze was fixed on the man and woman in the photo, unable to move away. In a moment of carelessness, the glutinous rice ball in her mouth fell and hit the paper. Only then did Lin Ruoshi come back to her senses. Lin Ruoshi was at a loss of what to do. She covered her rapidly beating heart with one hand. Her lips were pale, and there was not a trace of blood on her face. The relaxed feeling she had just now was gone. Her trembling right hand seemed to have expended a lot of energy to flip to the next page in the large CEO's office. The woman sat alone on the soft sofa, as if she had fallen into a shadow in the hall of the seaside villa. The atmosphere was as cold as ice. Wu Yu, who was in Li Mingyi's arms, suddenly saw someone pointing a gun at the two of them. Her already fragile nerves received another shock. After a scream, she actually fainted. This scream stimulated the disheartened Li Mingyi to come back to his senses. At this moment, a gun was pointed at his forehead. His heart immediately jumped to his throat. "No, don't kill me." Li Mingyi shrunk his head. He had no time to care about the safety of the woman in his arms. He opened his mouth wide and looked at Luo Tsueshan with a pleading expression. It wasn't that he didn't want to resist, but he knew very well that he wasn't a match for the woman in front of him. Subconsciously, he didn't have any thoughts of resisting. Luo Tsueshan turned off the safety of the gun and snorted coldly. "You're just a pile of mud that can't be helped. I gave you a great opportunity, but Lin Ruoshi went up a big step. To tell you the truth, right now, you are more valuable dead than alive. Of course, I don't mind sending you on your way. Anyway, I get annoyed looking at you." As she spoke, Luo Tsueshan slowly pulled the trigger. The reason why she didn't shoot immediately was because she was enjoying the change in Li Mingyi's eyes, which were filled with despair. Suddenly, Li Mingyi seemed to think of something in his desperate situation. He shouted, "Don't kill me. I have something to say." As Li Mingyi shouted, he let go of Wu Yu and kowtowed in front of Luo Tsueshan like a dog begging for pity. Luo Tsueshan said in disgust, "Are you trying to stall for time? Do you think someone will come and save you?" "That's not it." Li Mingyi raised his head and said excitedly, "I know a secret. This secret can help you deal a fatal blow to Yang Cheng's Yang family one day. Let them lose all standing and reputation. As long as you don't kill me, I'll tell you this secret." Luo Tsueshan's eyes revealed some interest. "Oh, how do you want me to believe what you say? The Yang family is not an ordinary family. Don't challenge my tolerance limit." "Absolutely not. You also know that my grandfather used to be the personal guard of the previous head of the Yang family, Yang Yi. I accidentally saw the inside story of the Yang family in one of his memoirs. At that time, when my grandfather found out, he strictly ordered me to let it rot in my stomach for the rest of my life. He even burned that memoir. So, the information I know is definitely true." Li Mingyi had some hope. Luo Tsueshan's almond-shaped eyes flashed with some thoughts. "Well, if you really have any useful information to provide me, then I'll spare your life. However, you must tell me now. Otherwise, I'll think that you're lying to me." Li Mingyi's face showed a look of hesitation and struggle. But looking at the cold and dazzling pocket-sized pistol, he finally swallowed his saliva. With a resolute face, he accepted his fate. "Okay, I'll tell you. I believe that a big shot like you wouldn't lie to me." With that, Li Mingyi stood up and moved a little closer. He whispered something into Luo Tsueshan's ear. Even though there were only the two of them talking in the entire villa, and Wu Yu was still unconscious, Li Mingyi was still very cautious. He only hoped that this kind of attitude would make Luo Tsueshan trust him more. After listening to Li Mingyi's narration, a cold light flashed in Luo Tsueshan's gloomy eyes. Her well-maintained face revealed a trace of unconcealable excitement. "You swear that what you said is all true?" Luo Tsueshan narrowed her eyes and asked. Li Mingyi nodded vigorously. "If this matter is investigated carefully, it's absolutely possible to find out. With your means, you only need to find some old servants of a Yang family or the old soldiers who followed Marshal Yang Yi. There will definitely be some clues that can be found. Many of the young soldiers under Marshal Yang Yi's command must have not left until today. You can even go overseas to look for the enemy troops and find some clues. What's more, technology is so advanced now. You just need to find some of Marshal Yang Yi's belongings and do some comparative testing." Luo Tsueshan glanced at Li Mingyi. Suddenly, she smiled seductively. "Li Mingyi? Oh no, actually from now on, you should change back to Shui Mingyi. Shui Mingyi, you're really a good boy who knows how to adapt to circumstances. When a Yang family's name is removed from the four major families, I will definitely thank you properly." Shui Mingyi was overjoyed. He said excitedly, No, I only ask that you let me find a way to survive. I'm willing to do anything. How can I accept that? You're the one who provided me with the most shocking information." Luo Tsueshan took 2 steps forward and turned around. "Tell me, what reward do you want?" Shui Mingyi rolled his eyes and hesitated for a moment. He pointed at the unconscious Wu Yu and whispered, Can you send me and this woman back to the United States? She's pregnant with my child now. I hope to settle down in the United States. I really don't need your help for anything else. Oh, this woman has your child? Luo Tsueshan glanced at Wu Yu strangely. Don't you want to take everything from your cousin's hands? Have you already given in? Xuan Mingi gritted his teeth and said, She's not my cousin. She's just the bastard child of that bitch who betrayed our family. My situation today is all because of that mother and daughter. I won't let her live a good life, but I have to let the storm pass first. When my child is born, I'll think of a way to make a comeback. Ha ha ha. Luo Tsushan laughed shrilly and looked at the man mockingly. Xuan Mingi, you're destined to be like your father, a failure. Your father still knows his place and knows that he's useless, so he obediently hid abroad. As for you, you obviously don't have the ability, but you still want to talk big. You alone can't fight against that little bitch and Yang Cheng. After saying that, Luo Tsueshan raised her hand and pointed the gun at Xuan Mingi again. Xuan Mingi's heart suddenly fell to the bottom. His body was cold, and he cried out, Didn't you say you let me go? Luo Tsueshan sneered. Just based on your naivety alone, you won't be able to fight against your cousin in this lifetime. Even a child knows. A sheep has no right to talk about credibility with a wolf. The disheartened Xuan Mingi watched as Luo Tsueshan's finger gradually bent. Bang! With a loud bang, the villa's door was directly kicked down from the outside. Smoke and dust flew everywhere. In the darkness of the night outside, a figure with both hands in his pocket slowly walked in at this time. The person who came was Yang Cheng, who had teleported from Yulei International to this area. Originally, with Yang Cheng's cultivation, it would only take a blink of an eye to travel from the city center to this area. However, there were too many villas, and Adeline only knew the approximate area, so Yang Cheng could only search the situation of each villa by himself. When he found Luo, Tsueshan, and Xuan Mingi, Yang Cheng came to the villa, knocked down the guards at the door, and kicked the door open. Seems like I'm not late. Yang Cheng glanced at Wu Yu, who was lying on the ground, then looked at Luo Tsueshan, who was holding a gun with a gloomy face, and then looked at the dumbfounded Xuan Mingi. He sneered and said, Looks like the premier's wife has been very free recently. We just met in Beijing, and now you're here in Zhonghai. TSK. Why do you always do things that make me uncomfortable? Or do you really think that I won't dare to kill you? Chapter 708. Seeing Yang Cheng's sudden intrusion, Luo Tsueshan wasn't surprised at all. She calmly put down her gun and turned around. You're faster than I thought. It seems like you found this place long ago. Xuan Mingi's tensed nerves finally relaxed when he saw that Luo Tsueshan didn't continue to shoot. He didn't feel much joy after escaping from death. He subconsciously retreated a little further away and watched everything in front of him anxiously. Yang Cheng walked to the center of the hall and looked at Xuan Mingi coldly. Do you think you can solve the problem by hiding there? Get up. I promised Ruashi that I won't kill you for the time being. Go to the police station and confess to everything. Xuan Mingi's pupils contracted. When he heard that it was Lin Ruashi who wanted to forgive him, a hint of violence appeared on his face. I don't need that woman's pity. She's as hypocritical and sinister as her mother. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Although I'm afraid of death, I won't accept your so-called mercy. Weren't you begging for mercy from this crazy woman just now? Now that I'm letting you live, why aren't you afraid of death? Yang Cheng frowned. You won't accept mercy even if you die. Is your hatred for Ruashi really that deep? Xuan Mingi snorted heavily and turned his head away, showing an attitude that he wouldn't give in even if he was slaughtered. Luo Tsueshan heard this and laughed shrilly. It seems like you only know a little about the past. Don't you know how your mother-in-law, Xue Zijing, did good things back then? What do you mean? Yang Cheng's face was solemn. The reason why he didn't do anything immediately was because he didn't know much about what happened back then. The Sea Eagles used clues and intelligence from all over the world to find out that Li Mingi was actually Xuan Mingi and that he was the Xue family that went overseas from Yinjing after several twists and turns. It was already very difficult. Whether it was Xuan Mingi's childhood growth, work, or the change of his name, Someone had secretly tampered with it, so that no one could easily find out. Therefore, Yangqing only knew that Xue Mingyi was Lin Ruoshi's cousin, and that the Xue family and the previous head of the Yang family, Yang Yi, had some friendship. It was Yang Yi who supported the Xue family to rise to power. Luo Tsuishan spun the pistol in her palm. Although this middle-aged, beautiful woman was a politician, she was an expert with guns. This in itself showed that she was not satisfied with being an ordinary woman. Since it's come to this, there's no harm in telling you. You can think about it after you hear it. Luo Tsuishan sat on the sofa leisurely and crossed her stockinged legs. Do you know who founded Yulei International? Yang Cheng didn't expect such an opening. Isn't it Ruoshi's grandmother who founded it after she returned from studying abroad? Luo Tsuishan shook her finger, no. Suddenly, Xue Mingyi, who seemed to be extremely angry, yelled, Yulei International used to belong to the Xue family. Yang Cheng was stunned. He carefully recalled that the person who told him about the founding of Yulei was Mother Wang. According to Mother Wang, Yulei was founded by the old CEO in order to raise his status and protect her and Lin Kuan. He used Lin Jigua's power to build and develop Yulei International. Could it be that Mother Wang lied to him? Luo Tsushan smiled disdainfully. No one would openly admit their ugly deeds, especially if no one dug it up. The outside world wouldn't even know about it. Gradually, Luo Tsuishan seemed to be narrating some old things that happened decades ago. Between the older generation were peeled off. Back then, the Xue family was an ordinary small family, not much in Beijing. However, because the eldest son of the Xue family became the bodyguard of Marshal Yang Yi of the Yang family and made outstanding contributions in the war against Japan and the United States, he was highly regarded. That was how the Xue family gained the support of the Yang family and gradually became glorious, gaining a small reputation in Beijing. However, the Xue family didn't continue to develop in the military, which was also what Marshal Yang Yi wanted. If too many of his trusted subordinates continued to join the military, the outside world would definitely be wary of the Yang family. Therefore, most of the Xue family started to do business outside of Yanjin and kept a low profile. Yulei International in Zhonghai was the biggest business of the Xue family, and Lin Ruoshi's grandmother, as an elite who had returned to the country after completing her studies, and her family had many collaborations with Yulei International in Zhonghai, was able to enter the internal department of Yulei International. With her outstanding business skills, Lin Ruoshi's grandmother was quickly promoted to the position of the CEO's assistant. She also had a good relationship with Xue Zijing's mother, who was the CEO at the time. Originally, the Xue family's development was smooth, but after the death of Marshal Yang Yi, the family seemed to be in a difficult situation. After all, Yang Gongming, who had inherited the family head position, had spent a lot of time and energy fighting for political power. Many families that depended on the Yang family were having a hard time. However, it was at this time that Xue Zijing of the Xue family and Ning Guangyao of the Ning family, who was at the top of the time, fell in love with each other. However, with the Xue family's meager financial resources and no political or military power, they couldn't fall into the Ning family's eyes. Even if the Ning family didn't want to marry one of the four major families, it would be the Lin family, the Luo family, the Zheng family, and the Yin family that were already in the upper class at the time. And Luo Tsuishan of the Luo family, who was an alumnus of Ning Guangyao at the time, was the best candidate. Luo Tsuishan herself had the qualities of a lady from a respectable family. Coupled with her keen sense of politics, she would be a great help to Ning Guangyao's development. Of course, the elders of the Ning family wouldn't let her go. And it just so happened that Luo Tsuishan was also willing to marry Ning Guangyao. The confident Luo Tsuishan didn't mind the ambiguous relationship between Ning Guangyao and Xue Zijing at all. Because in Luo Tsuishan's view, the change of time and reality would change people's feelings. Only the benefits that could be seen were the most convincing. No matter how unwilling Ning Guangyao was to give up on Xue Zijing, in the face of the temptation of the family head, the pressure of the elders, and the competition of talents in the family, he had to compromise between an ordinary woman and the future leader of the Huaxia family, the leader of the most powerful family and countless glory, no one would dare to say that Ning Guangyao was heartless. The gap between them was indeed too big. And after the marriage between the Ning family and the Luo family was confirmed, the Shui family became an eyesore in Beijing. Because all the big families in Beijing knew that the daughter of the Shui family was Ning Guangyao's lover. And at the heart of the storm, if Ning Guangyao's career was disturbed by some gossip, it would undoubtedly be fatal. Moreover, the Luo family wouldn't want their daughter to be wronged after marrying out. If Ning Guangyao and Shui Zijing secretly met in Beijing, they couldn't do anything to Ning Guangyao after all. Therefore, they could only target the Shui family. And the most appropriate thing for the Shui family to leave Beijing and even Huaxia was to leave. The Shui family's only backer, the Yang family, couldn't protect them when they were in danger back then. Helpless, the Shui family left Beijing in a very short period of time. In the process, they were obstructed by the elders of the Luo family, and a large number of assets were detained in the country. The purpose was to make the Shui family depressed, so that they wouldn't have the intention to take revenge. But even so, Shui Zijing stubbornly refused to go abroad with her family. She would rather die than go to a foreign country and never see the man she loved again. In such a chaotic situation, Lin Jigua of the Lin family, in order to promote his lover's status, negotiated with the Shui family and made the Shui family give up the last asset in the country, Yulei International, and hand it over to Lin Ruoshi's grandmother. Originally, Lin Ruoshi's grandmother had a close relationship with the Shui family, and the outside world even thought that she was related to the Shui family. Moreover, Lin Ruoshi's grandmother was indeed powerful, so everything went smoothly. As for the condition that the Shui family gave up Yulei International, it was very important. The old master of the Shui family hoped that his only daughter, Shui Zijing, could live safely in the country of Huaxia. Most of the Shui family hated Shui Zijing's guts. After all, Shui Zijing's stubbornness had caused the Shui family to be besieged by the elders of the Ning family and the Luo family. However, the old master insisted on protecting his daughter. Therefore, Lin Ruoshi's grandmother and Lin Jigua protected Shui Zijing and allowed her to marry Lin Jigua's illegitimate son, Lin Kuan. At the same time, she left Yanjin and spent the rest of her life in Zhonghai. Hearing this, Yangchen couldn't calm down the waves in his heart. He could feel the hatred in Luo Cuishan's tone towards Shui Zijing. It had a lot to do with the fact that Ning Guangyao was still in love with that woman. However, this also solved some of the doubts in Yang Cheng's mind. Back then, Shui Zijing was far away in Yanjin. Why did she suddenly marry Lin Kuan in Zhonghai? This was too sudden. The old CEO was puzzled. There was no reason for him to go to Yanjin and find Shui Zijing to be his daughter-in-law. Moreover, Yulei International was developing too fast. The old CEO's family wasn't famous at all, so it didn't make sense for them to have such a huge capital. If it was the Shui family who laid the foundation, then it would make sense. Moreover, it was also understandable why the Shui family didn't contact the country for so many years and didn't have anything to do with Lin Ruoshi. Perhaps other than the old master, no one would like Shui Zijing and her daughter who had caused them to flee overseas. However, speaking of his mother-in-law, Shui Zijing's personality, he didn't know whether to admire her or to shake her head. She would do anything for Ning Guangyao, who had abandoned her. Her stubborn temper was inherited from Lin Ruoshi. Chapter 709. Back then, Mother Wang had said that she didn't know why the old CEO would look for Shui Zijing. Perhaps Mother Wang herself only knew a little about the inside story, which was why her story was a little off. This was not a glorious past for any of the big families. Coupled with the pressure from the Ning family and the Luo family, no one dared to leak anything. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly and sighed. Bringing up the past really gave him a headache. Shui Mingyi's eyes were bloodshot. He gritted his teeth and said, "Now you know, Yulei International belongs to me. It belongs to our Shui family. It was that woman who betrayed us. Not only did she make us lose our family, Yulei, and everything, your Yang family left us to die, and the Lin family took advantage of the situation to rob us. I will remember this, even if I become a ghost." Lin Ruoshi That bitch should be torn to pieces just like her mother. Yang Chung raised his eyebrows and said with a faint smile, I don't understand. The ones who made the Shui family fall and get rid of Huaxia were the Ning family and the Luo family. Why did you listen to this woman and harm your cousin instead of taking revenge on them? Xuan Mingyi was speechless. He looked away and snorted coldly, but he didn't answer. Luo, Suishan giggled and said, the ones who made the move were the elders of our family and the Ning family, not me. This is what you call different people. Besides, if it wasn't for me, this idiot would have died in prison in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yang Chung glanced at Xuan Mingyi. The information he saw did show that Xuan Mingyi had been imprisoned, but the details were unclear. He only knew that after that, his life had been smooth sailing. He changed his name to Li Mingyi and went to work in Hong Kong's Muyun Group. When Xuan Mingyi heard the words Philadelphia's prison, his entire body trembled, and his face turned a little green. His eyes revealed an uncontrollable fear, as if he was recalling something horrible. Seeing the doubt in Yang Cheng's eyes, Luo Tsuishan was pleased with herself. It looks like I've succeeded in keeping a secret. Are you curious about what happened back then? Before Yang Cheng could speak, Luo Tsuishan made a shushing gesture. Let me tell you, when the Shui family was sent abroad, it didn't take much money with them. Coupled with such a blow, the Shui family began to fall apart. As some of the relatives of the collateral relatives went their separate ways, there were only a few people from the main clan left by the side of the Shui family head. In a completely unfamiliar environment like the United States, they could only wander from place to place. They came to Philadelphia's Chinatown and relied on the little money they had saved to start from scratch. They opened a small shop, opened a restaurant, and moved goods. The Shui family, who used to live a luxurious life, could only live a poor life at the bottom of society. Xuan Mingyi was still very young at that time, but the ups and downs of his life buried a deep hatred in his young heart. Although the Shui family finally gained a foothold a few years later, it was no longer comparable to the Shui family of the past. Most of the Shui family's relatives had been cut off, and no one knew if they were alive or dead. In the faraway United States, the Shui family seemed to have been forgotten. Xuan Mingyi grew up in such an environment with the seeds of revenge in his heart. In his high school, he was surrounded by Asians, Hispanics, and blacks. The people around him didn't care about their studies and idled all day long. They sold drugs, stole, and mingled in the red light district. There were all kinds of people. However, Xuan Mingyi knew that he had to study hard and enter the upper class in order to have a chance to take back everything that belonged to him. However, when he was in high school, he was framed by the students of his school, which made him a drug trafficker. Xuan Mingyi was arrested by the police and sent to prison. His family didn't have the money to hire a lawyer, so he could only go through a series of reform education. The years in prison caused Xuan Mingyi's soul and body to suffer all kinds of unimaginable abuse. Among the violent prisoners, there were all kinds of burly black men and criminals with twisted personalities. They all liked to bully the seemingly honest bookworm. In a prison without any women, a young man who looked soft and tender became their favorite plaything. Xuan Mingyi's world seemed to be completely dyed black by ink, and there was no light to speak of. He didn't even know if he could get out of there alive. After a few months of such torture, someone brought him out of prison. That person was Luo Tsuishan. Luo Tsuishan was meticulous. In order to prevent the Shui family from having a chance to bite back, she secretly sent people to follow the clues of the Shui family. She just let the Shui family run their own course. Originally, she thought that she would never have a chance to interact with the Shui family again. However, she found that her husband, Ning Guangyao, had secretly helped Lin Ruoxi solve some hidden problems. This discovery made her hate Shui Zijing's daughter to the bone. Thus, Luo Tsuishan thought of Xuan Mingyi, who was still in prison. He was a young man who was at the end of his rope and was in despair. If he was given a glimmer of hope, how would the flame of revenge hidden in the darkness burst out? As Lin Ruoxi's biological cousin, if he really confronted Lin Ruoxi, whether Lin Ruoxi won or lost, she would suffer intense inner torture. Thus, Xuan Mingyi was released. Later, With the help of Luo Tsuishan, he was cleared of his crime. After working hard, he became a student of an Ivy League school. After graduating, he entered the upper class. After changing his name, he returned to Hong Kong and entered Muyun Group. Originally, Luo Tsuishan's idea was to let Xuan Mingyi find a chance to compete with Lin Ruoxi in the business world after he got promoted in Muyun Group. Unexpectedly, it was as if God had given her a great opportunity. Muyun Group needed someone to work at Yulei. With her identity as the mistress of the Ning family and the Luo family, it wasn't difficult for Luo Tsuishan to secretly let Xuan Mingyi enter Yulei. As the chairman of Muyun Group, although Li Muhua found it a little strange, she didn't think too much about it. After all, there was nothing to hide in this job. Yang Cheng listened to Luo Tsuishan's rather proud narration, but he didn't say anything. Although Luo Tsuishan hid a lot of her own thoughts in her words, Yang Cheng could guess that this woman, in a sense, wanted to take revenge on her husband, Ning Guangyao. However, the target of her venting was Xue Zijing's family. Xuan Mingyi, who was in the corner, still couldn't recover from the dark memories of his time in prison. It was as if he couldn't hear anything, and his expression was wooden. For a normal man, that kind of experience was enough to make many people choose to commit suicide. If it wasn't for his strong desire for revenge, Xuan Mingyi might not have lived until now. It wasn't that he didn't know that Luo Tsuishan was using him. It wasn't that he didn't know that the real killer was the Luo family. However, the only way for him to break free was to listen to Luo Tsuishan and take back Yulei International. Unfortunately, everything was in vain now. Lin Ruoxi used the incident that he caused as a springboard for further advancement. What a pity. I was looking forward to Xue Zijing's nephew defeating her daughter. Then, the two Xue family members would fight to the death. Luo Tsuishan sighed regretfully and stood up. All right, I've said what I needed to say. I've misjudged this idiot. Since the matter has been exposed, there's nothing I can do. You can do whatever you want to the kid from the Yang family. I'll take my leave first. After saying that, Luo Tsuishan put away her gun. She smiled contemptuously and was about to walk out of the door. Yang Cheng, who had been standing silently, suddenly stretched out his leg and tapped the floor in front of Luo Tsuishan. Crack, crack. A few consecutive cracking sounds could be heard. The thick pinewood floor seemed to have suffered from a localized explosion as a meter-wide crack appeared. Luo Tsuishan stopped in her tracks, and her expression changed. She raised her eyebrows and said, "Why? You can't be thinking of killing me, right? You have to understand that I'm the madam of the Ning family, the prime minister's wife. Just the Luo family alone isn't something that the Zheng family that you slaughtered in the past can compare to. If you touch even a strand of my hair, I can guarantee that everyone around you in Huaxia will suffer an unimaginable disaster." Yang Cheng looked at the woman numbly. "Right now, I'm only thinking about how to kill you. As for the consequences you mentioned, you don't have to worry about it after you're dead." Luo Tsuishan's heart trembled. She could feel that Yang Cheng wasn't trying to scare her. At that moment, Luo Tsuishan immediately took out her gun and aimed it at Yang Cheng's head. She was so close, but her hands were trembling. "Do you think I'm afraid of you? Do you think I'm unprepared? I advise you to ask that little b asterisk tch, Lin Ruoxi, what does she want?" Luo Tsuishan laughed sinisterly. Yang Cheng frowned. He had a bad premonition. "What did you do to Ruoxi?" Before Yang Cheng could finish his question, Yang Cheng's phone vibrated. Yang Cheng ignored Luo Tsuishan, who was pointing the gun at him. He took out his phone and saw that it was really Lin Ruoxi calling. Luo Tsuishan's smile became even wider. She looked like she had victory in her hands. "What's wrong?" Yang Cheng picked up the phone. On the other end of the phone, Lin Ruoxi's voice was a little hoarse, as if she had just cried. She said intermittently, "Yang Cheng, don't hurt her." Yang Cheng was stunned. He said in a deep voice, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'll take care of it, no?" Lin Ruoxi seemed to be on the verge of breaking down. "I know who you're facing. She has already given me everything. All the information from that year, I beg you. Just treat it as me kneeling down and begging you. Don't hurt her. I beg you." Chapter 710. Beg? Yang Cheng was shocked. Lin Ruashi's grief on the phone made him feel like he was involved in a bottomless whirlpool. He was completely stunned. From the moment he met her until now, there were very few women who would admit defeat in front of him. But for the first time, for the sake of a woman who wanted to kill her, she cried and begged him not to hurt her. Lin Ruashi couldn't hear Yang Cheng's answer, so she seemed particularly helpless. She kidnapped the Shui family members in the United States, including my mother's brother. If anything happens to her, her men will kill them all. My mother and I owe them too much. How can I watch them die like this? Yang Cheng felt a burning heat rising in his chest. Looking at the triumphant woman in front of him, Yang Cheng's eyes turned scarlet again. However, Lin Ruashi's painful plea on the phone made him feel a huge, invisible pressure, which contained all his anger and made it difficult for him to vent. Luo Tsuishan put the pistol back in her bag and smoothed her messy hair. You see, your wife asked you not to kill me. She is right. As long as you think about it calmly, you should know what will happen if you kill me now. If you want to be the master of the Yang family, you have to look at the problem calmly instead of taking advantage of the moment. Do you understand, young man? After that, Luo Tsuishan walked around the cracked ground and walked out slowly and calmly. The expressionless Yang Cheng didn't stop her. Instead, he asked on the phone, "Do you really care about those people so much?" Lin Ruashi answered with a choked voice, "I can't let my innocent relatives die. Just because I am threatened, I understand." Yang Cheng mumbled and hung up the phone. On the other end, Lin Ruashi, who was in the office, seemed to have collapsed after Yang Cheng hung up the phone. Softly, she slid down from the sofa to the floor and leaned against the short table. She looked at the yellowed, old photo on the table with tears streaming down her face. In that photo, there was a man and a woman who looked very similar. The man was slightly older and extraordinarily handsome, while the woman was his mother, Shui Zijing. At the bottom corner of the photo, there were the words, Shui families Zifeng and Zijing, brother and sister group photo. Lin Ruashi gave a self-deprecating smile and muttered to herself, "Mom, I'm really tired. If only you had left the country." Other than the flickering image on the TV screen, there was no light in the sparse office. At this time, in the villa, Luo Tsuishan was about to go out. But just as she was about to step out, an irresistible force pulled her back into the hall. Luo Tsuishan cried out in alarm. Her entire body flew into the air and fell heavily onto a coffee table. Her entire body felt like it was falling apart. Luo Tsuishan was furious, but she was also terrified of how Yang Cheng did it. She crawled up and said hatefully, "What are you doing? Do you want your wife's family to all die?" Without saying a word, Yang Cheng rushed up and slapped the woman's face. With a crisp paw sound, Luo Tsuishan rolled on the carpet again. Luo Tsuishan was stunned. Her face was burning. She couldn't understand. Had Yang Cheng lost his mind? Was he really going to let the entire Shui family be buried with him? Yang Cheng glanced at her coldly, then turned and asked Shui Mingi, who was scared out of his wits in the corner, "Are your family still in Philadelphia?" Shui Mingi swallowed his saliva. Although he didn't understand why Yang Cheng asked this, he still shook his head and replied, "No, no more." "Then where are they now?" Yang Cheng asked. 2 years ago, they moved to Baltimore, Maryland. Shui Mingi didn't dare to look at Yang Cheng, because at this moment, the man's aura was like that of a demon from hell. After listening, Yang Cheng picked up the phone and dialed a series of numbers, ignoring the doubts in Luo Tsuishan and Shui Mingi's eyes. After the call was connected, Solan's voice came from the phone. "Your Majesty Pluto, why did you suddenly call?" Solan asked in a loud voice. "Which group is the closest to Baltimore, Maryland, USA?" Yang Cheng asked in English. Solan thought for a moment and said, "In that area, the DSCL mercenary group is made up of retired U.S. Army Delta Commando and Navy SEAL Commando elites. There are about 100 of them locally. Because Baltimore is a large port city, if there's a need, there's also Maple, which is the closest to the sea. It's a special service unit that specializes in transportation between Canada and Norway. They can send at least 3 destroyers and more than 10 Apaches. Yang Chung scratched his ear and muttered to himself, "Is the DSEL also ours? When did they become one of us? They just joined you half a year ago. Because you said that you didn't want to listen to reports on these matters. I couldn't tell you," Solon said. Yang Chung also forgot what he said. Whatever. Asked the DSEL to get information about the Schweff family from the Sea Eagles. They're currently in Baltimore, and they should be kidnapped or secretly surrounded. I need to solve this problem in a short period of time. As long as they are safe, they can do whatever they want. I can only wait for half an hour at most. If they can't complete the mission, I'll kick them out of our circle. Yes, sir. Solon did not say much and immediately carried out the order. After Yang Chung ended the call, he looked at Luo Tsueshan. Luo Tsueshan could understand English. Although she did not know some of the special names that Yang Chung mentioned, she roughly knew that Yang Chung had sent people to rescue the Schweff family. Do you know, you made two stupid mistakes. Yang Chung sneered and raised a finger. The first mistake, since you used your own safety to let your men decide whether or not to kill the hostages, it means that as long as you don't leak any information, your men won't make a move in the short term. Luo Tsueshan widened her eyes in panic. She finally realized what Yang Chung was planning. Indeed, as long as she stayed in this villa and didn't let the outside world know anything about her, even if she had a hostage, it would be useless. Yang Chung raised a second finger and said condescendingly, "The second mistake is even more stupid. You could have fought with me, but you chose to fight with me abroad. You might have some influence in Huaxia, but outside of this country, you're not even worth a fart." Luo Tsueshan was so angry that her lips turned purple, but she could not open her mouth. Under Yang Cheng's powerful pressure, her heartstrings were on the verge of collapse. Yang Chung smiled disdainfully and patted his chest. "Let me tell you the truth, in the whole world, other than the land under my feet, I can even blow up the White House." Even a Xiantian master would find it hard to resist such a huge pressure. Even though it was only a little bit, it was already difficult for Luo Tsueshan to resist. The shadow of a tsunami made Luo Tsueshan's original pride and dignity become useless at this moment. Suddenly, Luo Tsueshan's twisted face twitched as tears streamed down her cheeks. Wah! She burst into tears. Xuan Mingyi, who was at the side, was also shocked. When he took a closer look, he realized that the carpet that Luo Tsueshan was sitting on had a wet stain. This woman was actually scared by Yang Chung to the point of peeing. 10 minutes later, in Baltimore, Maryland, United States. In this port city where the temperature difference between day and night was huge, it was noon and the sun was shining brightly. At the street entrance of a residential community, in a Chevrolet commercial car, a burly white man in a suit was sitting in the front passenger seat talking on the phone. Behind him were two relatively thin men who were quickly searching for something on a computer. D37, coordinates 235,214, height 3 floors. D48, coordinates 387,552, height 5 floors. Answer when you're in position. The burly man used a commanding tone. D37 in position. D48 in position. The burly man turned around. Rand, have you confirmed the enemy's movements? One of the men who was typing on the computer nodded. Captain, D55 and D21 intercepted one at 788 Greenland Street, but D21 has already disguised himself and did not reveal any flaws. The enemy has a total of 5 people. The remaining 4 are already in range and did not appear near the protection personnel. The burly man picked up the communicator. Snipers get ready. Lock onto the exposed target. After the kill, D55 and D21 will finish up. Move in 20 seconds. Yes, sir. The burly man put down the communicator, picked up a can of Red Bull, and took a big gulp. He turned around and said to the other man who was using the computer, "Find an escape route and cut off the police signal." Understood, Captain. The man was a little bored. This mission is too simple. Those people can't even be considered special forces. It's like using a steel knife to cut cheese. How boring. Shut up. The burly man reprimanded. No matter what mission it is, We have to treat it strictly. This is the first time we've carried out a mission after joining that Lord's command. Do it well. If you're a few seconds slower and that Lord is not satisfied, you can go see God. The man heard this and immediately continued to work hard. A few seconds later, after 2 silent sniper shots, several screams came from the community. Chapter 711. On the other side of the ocean, at the same time, Yang Cheng, who was in Zhonghai's villa, received a message from Solon. The hostages are safe. Please instruct me if you have any other instructions. Yang Cheng looked at the time on his phone. It was less than 15 minutes ago. It seemed that the American elites from his special forces were more efficient. After all, they were the local tyrants. Yang Cheng looked at Luo Tsuishan, who was sobbing on the ground, and felt disgusted. I've sent people to kill all your men. What else do you want to say now? Luo Tsuishan raised her head and glared at Yang Cheng with a venomous glare. She was like a venomous snake that was about to retaliate, but was pinned to the ground by a boulder. You're lucky that I picked an idiot to do this. If you want to kill me, then kill me. If I die, don't think that you'll have a good time either. Luo Tsuishan was ready to throw caution to the wind. She was so embarrassed in front of Yang Cheng that she even lost control of her bladder. She felt that death was nothing to her, but the hatred in her heart was getting stronger. In the past, it was that shameless woman who hurt her heart. Now, she fell into the hands of these 2 little ones. She really wanted to skin them alive. Yang Cheng didn't get angry and said calmly, Since you said so, it seems that you don't have any more tricks up your sleeves. Actually, from my point of view, I don't have any grudges against you. It's just that you're a vicious woman. You're too mean and narrow-minded. Keeping you alive will only bring harm to the people around me. Stop talking nonsense. If you want to kill me, then do it, Luo Tsuishan mocked in disdain. Yang Cheng shook his head. Killing you will only bring me trouble. I'm not that stupid. Luo Tsuishan laughed out loud. I knew that you wouldn't have the guts to do anything to me. What a joke. You've been bluffing for so long. Do you think that I, Luo Tsuishan, am an inexperienced child? Let me tell you, Yang Cheng, I've seen all kinds of people in the officialdom. I've long seen through your guilty conscience. Is that so? Yang Cheng didn't think much of it. He turned to look at Xuan Mingi and said, Do you want to live or die? Xuan Mingi had thought that he was going to die for sure, but hearing Yang Cheng's tone, it seemed like there was a chance of survival. Although he had been utterly defeated, he was different from before. Now, he had Wu Yu and the child in this woman's belly in his heart. Xuan Mingi looked at the unconscious Wu Yu on the ground with tears in his eyes. He had to survive. Only by surviving would he be able to protect this woman and see his own child. I want to live. I beg you to spare me. At this moment, Xuan Mingi could no longer care about his dignity. Nothing could compare to living and watching his child being born. No matter how crazy his vengeful heart was, it couldn't resist the fatherly love of a man who was about to become a father. With a plop sound, Xuan Mingi knelt down in front of Yang Cheng without hesitation. He wasn't wagging his tail and begging for mercy, nor was he hypocritical. Instead, he looked at Yang Cheng with a sincere and urgent gaze. Yang Cheng noticed the deep affection in Xuan Mingi's eyes as he looked at Wu Yu, causing Yang Cheng to be slightly moved. I didn't expect you to bring Wu Yu here to be with you. It seems like you're not just playing with her. Yang Cheng sighed with emotion. Xuan Mingi's face tensed up, and he nodded his head vigorously. At first, I did plan to play around and use this woman. But I realized that ever since I was young, only this woman has been good to me wholeheartedly, not asking for anything in return. As long as I say it, she will listen. As long as I do, she will trust. Only in front of her do I feel like I'm cherished and completely needed. She doesn't care about my past. She only cares about whether I'm by her side or not. Luo Tsuishan, who was at the side, sneered, Hypocrite. In order to survive, you can say anything you want. Do you really think this brat will let you go? He doesn't dare to kill me, but that doesn't mean he doesn't dare to kill you. Yang Cheng's gaze turned cold. He directly lifted his leg, and a burst of energy in the air lifted Luo Tsuishan up and sent her flying. Clang clang. A flower rack and two vases on top of it were all knocked down by Luo Tsueshan's body, shattering into pieces on the ground. Luo Tsueshan crashed into the wall and fainted. Mingi was dumbstruck. His entire body quivered as he realized that if Yang Cheng wanted to kill him, it would really be a matter of an instant. Yang Cheng didn't think too much of it and continued, "If I let you live, what would you do? I'm very worried that you will come looking for trouble with Ruashi again." Mingi was stunned, his expression changing rapidly, as if he was having an intense mental struggle. After nearly a minute, he clenched his teeth, shook his head, and said, "I won't. I promise I won't have the slightest thought of revenge in this life." "You're so sure?" Mingi turned back to look at Wu Yu, tears rolling down his cheeks. He cried and laughed. "I want to bring this silly woman to America to see my dad and the rest. I want to wait for our child to be born. I will find a decent job, work hard to earn money, and let them live a good life. I don't want my child to be like his father, bullied by others because he doesn't have money, no status, and even be sent to prison." "Child." Yang Cheng was stunned. He looked at Wu Yu, then at Mingi. "Wu Yu is pregnant with your child?" Mingi smiled blissfully and bitterly. "I only found out the day before yesterday. That's why I'm begging you not to kill me. Even if I have to go to jail, I'm fine with it. I just don't want my child to be born without a father." Yang Cheng lowered his head and looked at the ground. After thinking for a while, he said, "All right then, do one thing for me, and I will consider letting you go." Mingi was instantly pleasantly surprised. "What thing?" "I will definitely do my best." Yang Cheng pointed at the unconscious Luo Tsueshan in the corner. "Go and take off that woman's clothes and pants. I want to give her a surprise. But because this woman is peeing her pants, I don't want to touch her." Mingi was stunned for a long time. He didn't expect Yang Cheng to do such an evil thing. He looked at the woman in the corner and hesitantly looked at Wu Yu, who had fainted on the sofa. "You don't want to do it?" Yang Cheng raised his eyebrows. "This can save your life," Mingi said in a low voice. "Can you let me carry you upstairs, and then I will come down to do this for you?" "Oh? Why?" "Wu Yu is unconscious and can't see, and you are afraid that she will be jealous?" Yang Cheng laughed strangely. Mingi shook his head. "No, even if she is unconscious and can't see, I can't take off another woman's clothes in front of her. Of course, this is just my request. If you want to do it now, I will." Yang Cheng laughed loudly and clapped his hands. "Congratulations, you have passed the test." Mingi was confused again. His eyes were full of doubt. He didn't know what Yang Cheng was talking about. "Just now, when I asked you if you were willing to give up on revenge, you immediately answered no without thinking. Then I would have killed you without hesitation. Because you are not sincere enough. If you had immediately agreed to strip that woman's clothes and disregarded Wu Yu, I wouldn't have let you off either, because your love wasn't deep enough. Now, it seems that you are indeed prepared to be a husband and a father. Since that's the case, I'll let you off since Ruashi asked me to let you off. After all, the main culprit is that disgusting old woman." Yang Cheng said. Mingi cried tears of joy. He was so excited that he fell to the ground and kowtowed continuously. He was so grateful that he didn't know what to say. Yang Cheng waved his hand and said, "There are many cars outside. Take one and leave with Wu Yu. Don't go back to Yulei. Saying goodbye will only make Ruashi unhappy. Also, you don't need to pretend. Go back to America as soon as possible. If you have any difficulties, you can contact me using the company's email. As for other things, don't ask too much." Mingi's entire body was trembling from his near-death experience. As he thanked Yang Cheng profusely, he ran over to Wu Yu, who was lying on the ground, and hugged her tightly before running out. After Mingi drove away, Yang Cheng let out a sigh of relief. Life was unpredictable. He didn't expect Wu Yu to have Mingi's child. According to blood relations, Wu Yu's child would be his and Lin Ruashi's nephew. In addition, he didn't feel like a father more than anyone else. Yang Cheng couldn't bear to implicate an innocent child. He didn't know if he was originally this soft-hearted or if he gradually became like this after returning to China. Or maybe he was especially cruel when he couldn't suppress the side effects of the divine light. In any case, Yang Cheng didn't regret letting Xuan Mingyi go. Looking at the unconscious Luo Suishan, Yang Cheng shouted, "Adeline, come in." In the darkness, a figure with a sexy figure scuttled in. Dressed in black tights, Adeline looked at Yang Cheng with pitiful eyes. "Your Majesty Pluto, you can't be asking me to take off that old woman's clothes, right?" Adeline had just arrived. After hearing Yang Cheng's words, she didn't dare to come in. Yang Cheng smiled evilly and said, "She takes care of herself as if she's in her 30s. How is she old? She's definitely a hot commodity in the nightclub. Besides, don't tell me you want me to do it myself when she reeks of urine." Chapter 712. Adeline had a bitter look on her face. She regretted following them in. If she had known earlier, she would have slipped back. She didn't dare to run away now, but she felt disgusted if she touched them. "Hurry up," Yang Cheng shouted. Adeline's nerves tightened. She ran over subconsciously and started to move. So be it. No matter how disgusting she would still go in and out of a pile of corpses. Moreover, the other team members might even be envious of her, to be ordered around by this man alone. Although it wouldn't look good, Adeline didn't dare to touch too much, so she tore at Luo Tsuishan's clothes and pants, tearing them to shreds. Not long after, Luo Tsuishan's voluptuous body was exposed under the light. Yang Cheng sighed. Ning Guangyao was really lucky with women. Although Luo Tsuishan wasn't as pretty as his mother-in-law, Xue Zijing, she was still graceful and beautiful. Her voluptuous figure and fair, tight skin were something that many young girls couldn't even hope to match. However, the area between the woman's thighs was still wet, and a strange smell emanated from it, causing Adeline, who was standing on the side, to frown. Yang Cheng smiled and waved at Adeline. "Come here, I'll tell you what to do." Adeline was puzzled. "Aren't we going to get the camera? Look at you. Am I that low class?" Yang Cheng looked dissatisfied. He sighed and turned his head away. He paced with his hands behind his back and said proudly, "Those who take photos and threaten people with photos are all low-class tactics. They're too ordinary. If we want to do something, we have to do it differently. How did I educate you sea eagles? You are the elites of the elites. What you have to do is what others can't do. Are we ordinary people? Of course not. What's a tactic that surpasses ordinary people? It's art. What is art? It comes from life, and it's above life. If you think that I only want to use this so-called premier's wife to make a simple-minded action movie, then you're wrong. What I want to shoot is an artistic film with deep meaning and depth." The foreign girl was stunned. Although she didn't quite understand what Yang Cheng was talking about, he seemed to be very powerful. Then, "Your Majesty Pluto, what should I do?" Adeline obediently ran in front of Yang Cheng and asked. Yang Cheng leaned over and whispered a bunch of things into Adeline's ear with a creepy smile. After Adeline heard this, she had a strange look on her face. "Sir, can't we just kill her? That's too cruel." "Cruel my ass. I told you this is an indie film." What is an indie film? It is the combination of art and literature that causes the emotional resonance of the audience. Yang Cheng raised his eyebrows. Cruelty is also a kind of emotion. Adeline felt a chill run down her spine. She swallowed her saliva and nodded obediently. Although she was very unwilling, Adeline still wrapped the naked Luo Suishan in a blanket and carried her up. Although they were both women, with the physique of the Sea Eagles members, they could even withstand Luo Suishan's attacks for a day without any problems. After saying goodbye to Yang Cheng, Adeline brought Luo Suishan out of the villa. She randomly found a car and drove the woman away. Even if Luo Suishan woke up halfway, Adeline's skills could make her faint again in an instant. After everyone left, the smile on Yang Cheng's face gradually disappeared. Under the bright lights of the villa, he stood alone in the middle of the living room, looking a little lost in thought. After a long time, Yang Cheng walked out in a daze. He raised his head to look at the blurry night sky. In the next second, he disappeared from where he stood. In the courtyard of the house, Lin Ruashi sat on a rattan chair. After returning home from the company, she sat in the courtyard alone, waiting for Yang Cheng to come back. Guo Mother Wang, and Jin Xiu did not know what happened to Lin Ruoxi. They tried to persuade her to go into the house, but she could not sit for more than 3 minutes. She immediately ran out to the courtyard and anxiously waited for Yang Cheng to come back. In the end, they could only let her be. This was a difficult night. Lin Ruoxi thought that everything would end after a showdown, but she found that the real thing that she could not resist only appeared after the company went through a crisis. Although Lin Ruoxi had never met the people of the Shui family in the United States, her blood and conscience made it difficult for her to give up all of this. When she found out that the reason why her mother came to the Lin family was actually a deal and that Yulei was originally the property of the Shui family, Lin Ruoxi felt that her world was withering and collapsing. It was fragmented, and she could not bear the heavy burden. In the end, it was her mother who dragged all the people of the Shui family down. And when she left, it seemed that this sin was imperceptibly passed on to her. Since childhood, she had been well off, but it was built on the tragic fate of the Shui family. When she was feeling sad, there was finally a sound at the door. After opening the door, a familiar figure slowly walked in. Lin Ruoxi immediately stood up and ran up to Yang Cheng. She stared at Yang Cheng's eyes with tears in her eyes and a look of inquiry. Yang Cheng smiled gently. "Darling Ruoxi, you are so obedient. You waited for me to come home in the middle of the night. How are they?" Lin Ruoxi blurted out. The smile on Yang Cheng's face froze. "Who are you asking?" "Of course it's the woman who kidnapped the Shui family, and Li Mingi. Are they okay?" Lin Ruoxi asked anxiously. Yang Cheng pursed his lips and looked gloomy. "You waited so anxiously because you were worried about them." Seeing that Yang Cheng did not answer, Lin Ruoxi became even more anxious. You killed them." Yang Cheng fell silent. His eyes were firmly locked on the face of the woman in front of him. Looking at the countless worries on her face, his heart felt like it was fiercely scalded by a soldering iron, as if it would explode at any time. "Why aren't you saying anything?" "Yang Cheng, you promised me that you wouldn't kill them. Say it." Lin Ruoxi was about to go crazy. If this man killed Luo, Suishan, and Shui Mingi, wouldn't the entire Shui family be buried with him? Then what did his mother's generation do to those innocent relatives? The corner of Yang Cheng's mouth twitched. He was trembling a little as he tried his best to suppress his voice. However, the strong fluctuations in his emotions made his voice a little low and hoarse. "The people of the Shui family are all safe. Shui Mingi and Wu Yu have both returned to the United States. As for Luo Suishan, I will give her a punishment, but I will definitely not let her threaten the people you care about," Yang Cheng said. Lin Ruoxi breathed a sigh of relief and took a step back. "Thank you. That's enough." Yang Cheng laughed bitterly at himself. "Lin Ruoxi, do you not trust me that much?" Lin Ruoxi slowly raised her head and looked at the man with some doubt. In the dark and quiet courtyard, Yang Cheng's breathing was a little heavy. "I don't know what you think of me. From the moment we got married until now, I can only guess and think about what's on your mind because you never take the initiative to tell me. Someone told me that my relationship with you isn't good enough because I don't know you well enough. So I went to your former school and met your teacher, wanted to know more about you. But I realized that it wasn't very useful because the current you is too different from the you when you were a student. I remember when you said you were going to get married, I said that I hoped to truly understand each other and become a husband and wife by pursuing you and having a good talk. Actually, I wasn't joking. I didn't do it back then, and I definitely didn't do it now. As far as I'm concerned, I don't want to hide anything from you. As long as you're willing, I'll tell you about my past, but you didn't specifically ask me. I don't want you to know too much, so I'll try my best to let you see some good things, hoping to give you a sense of security and make you trust me, so that one day, you'll be willing to let me know more about you." Yang Cheng looked at the woman deeply, his face a little conflicted. Lin Ruoxi, on the other hand, fell into some kind of thoughts from the beginning, but I suddenly feel so tired doing this now. It's as if there's always a wall between us that's difficult to cross. No matter how high I fly, no matter how hard I try, the wall is always rising. I can't see your true face, and you don't show any signs of showing your heart to me. I admit that it seems very shameless to say these words. I also admit that ever since we got married, I've done a lot of things to let you down, and I've done a lot of things to make you sad. But I can ask myself honestly, from the moment I met you until now, no matter how much I feel about you, the first thing I consider is to let you be well and alive. Today, I'm going to face a woman who wants to ruin your reputation and a man who wants to kill you and me and take everything away from you. I don't know what you're thinking. Have you ever considered that when I'm facing them head on, you suddenly call me and tell me not to do anything? I really don't know what it's like to have a gun pointed at my head at that time. Perhaps you think that a thick-skinned person like me, even if I'm humiliated and mocked as cowardly by them, it doesn't matter, and you think that I'll be fine as long as the people you care about are fine. If that's the case, I have nothing to say. For you, I can be mocked as incompetent and weak and be seen as a coward. I'm a man, but I'm also your husband. But, Lin Ruashi, can I beg you? When I'm done with those things and return home, the first thing you ask me isn't how they are, but, are you okay? The cool night breeze blew by quietly. Yang Cheng's voice wasn't loud, but every word he said was like a needle stabbing into Lin Ruashi's heart. Lin Ruashi's eyes turned red. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but she didn't know how to explain. She suddenly realized that she had already said something that broke the man's heart. Yang Chan grinned nonchalantly. Smiling, he said, "All right, just treat it as me grumbling out of sentimentality. Don't mind it too much. It's late. You've been too busy these 2 days. Go take a shower and rest. You haven't even changed your clothes." With that, Yang Chung turned around and walked out. Lin Ruashi finally couldn't help but call out to Yang Chung. Where are you going?" Yang Chung paused. "I don't want to sleep yet. I'm going out for a ride and a drink. Don't worry, I'll be fine." Lin Ruashi watched as the man walked out of the door not long after he entered. She didn't know why, but when he stepped out, it was as if he had left a deep ravine between them instead of a door. When she heard the sound of the man driving away, Lin Ruashi's body went limp and weak. She knelt on the grass and sobbed silently. Crystal clear tears splashed on the leaves of the grass. Chapter 713. After driving away from home, Yang Chen's mind was a little blank. After so many things had happened, he suddenly wanted to be alone for a while. Yang Chung wasn't sure if it was because of Lin Ruashi's perfect method that fooled everyone, including him, that he felt uncomfortable. Or was it because he was angry at Lin Ruashi's choice? Especially when he recalled how Ning Guangyao refused to acknowledge their father-daughter relationship back in Beijing. Yang Chung felt uncomfortable. Familial love? How many people would really value kinship over power and wealth? He didn't know if it was because of Lin Ruashi, that silly woman, or because he was not as good as those relatives that he had never met. All in all, his heart was in a mess. After so many days, Yang Chun once again had the urge to drink to his heart's content. Perhaps it was because he didn't want others around him to be unhappy. Yang Chung didn't plan to find a confidant to drink with. He sped all the way to a street of bars. He had been here a few days ago, but this time, he wanted to have a few drinks. Yang Chung found an eye-catching bar and went in. When he came to the bar, Yang Chung asked the bartender, "Do you have high-alcohol liquor?" The bartender was also experienced, so he knew that Su Tao was trying to drown his sorrows with alcohol. "Mister, you've come to the right place. In the entire street, we're the only one that sells high-alcohol liquor. Maodai with 52% alcohol. It's absolutely authentic. Do you need a few liters?" "A few liters?" Yang Chen curled his lips. The bartender smiled. "Of course, you can order a little if you think it's too much." "That's too little. Give me 2 bottles." "Oh, right. How big is your bottle?" "At least 3 to 4 liters." Yang Cheng faintly said. The bartender, who was wiping the glass, nearly dropped it and asked with a stiff smile, "Mister, do you have a lot of friends?" Yang Cheng said impatiently, "It's not like I'm not paying. Just take it." The bartender thought that Yang Cheng had met a drunkard. Since he wasn't going to drink his liquor, he gave Yang Cheng 3 bottles of Maodai. Many people around them looked over. There were only a few people who came to the bar to drink baijiu. Those who would drink 3 bottles of high-alcohol Maodai were either crazy or had a huge appetite. Since the Maodai bottle's mouth was made strictly, only a small amount of wine could be poured. Yang Chun waited and felt depressed. He used his fingers to break the hard porcelain mouth, and a big hole appeared. This scene instantly caused many people to be flabbergasted. How much strength was needed to achieve this? The bartender swallowed his saliva and secretly rejoiced that he didn't fight with this man for anything. With this kind of strength, he could have broken a few of his fingers. Unknowingly, the customers around Yang Chung quietly moved away, leaving only Yang Chung alone. He poured and drank by himself. He didn't treat the baijiu as wine, but drank it like lemonade. Every time he drank a few mouthfuls, Yang Chung would sit there and think for a while. The others didn't know what this man was doing here. Was he going to commit suicide with alcohol? Many people guessed that this seemingly ordinary man would be drunk if he drank a few more mouthfuls. But what shocked them was that after drinking more than 2 bottles of Maodai, Yang Cheng's expression didn't change. He wasn't drunk at all. At this moment, when everyone thought that Yang Cheng was going to continue drinking, Yang Cheng turned around and looked at the entrance of the bar. Many people's attention was on Yang Cheng, so they naturally turned around to look at him. 4 tall men dressed in short-sleeved white shirts and black trousers with solemn expressions had entered the bar. Each of them was at least 185 meters tall, and the lines of their muscles were enough to make the eyes of many beautiful women who came to look for men at night sparkle. The 4 men were led by a man with a flat-top haircut. He looked around as if he was looking for someone. At this time, a woman with heavy makeup and a slender waist and plump buttocks stared at the man with a flat-top haircut. She staggered forward and suddenly hugged the man's arm. "Handsome, I'm so dizzy. Can you send me home?" The drunken woman naturally pressed her full chest against the man's arm, sinking into the ravine and gently rubbing it up and down. A few men in the bar secretly scolded her for being coquettish, but they were also saying that they couldn't eat the grapes. Unexpectedly, the woman's action attracted the strong dissatisfaction of the man in white. With a look of disgust, he waved his hand and directly threw the gorgeous woman to the ground. "Ouch!" the woman exclaimed and sat on the ground. Her drunkenness had also dissipated a little. She immediately cursed. "I'm going to die. Are you impotent or do you have STD? No bullets or no gun. It's fine if you don't want to play, but how dare you throw me? I have to go to the hospital now. You have to compensate me." With that, the woman got up and threw herself at the man with a flat-top haircut. She grabbed the man's arm and began to act crazily. This time, the man with a flat-top haircut didn't do anything. A strong man behind him slapped the woman and sent her flying. Blood spurted out of her mouth, and it was unknown if she had lost her teeth. She slammed into the wall and fainted. The bar immediately became a pot of porridge. The women's screams and the men's curses mixed together. Although many people didn't like the women's debauchery, they thought that the men were too domineering and fierce. How could 4 strong men bully a woman? But what the 4 men did in the next second made everyone shut their mouths. 4 shiny Desert Eagle pistols were pulled out from the men's waists. Hiss! Many people gasped. Some people knew what they were. They didn't look like toy guns. The man with a flat-top haircut spun the heavy Desert Eagle in his hand as if it was a feather. He opened his deep and penetrating voice and said, "Everyone, don't be nervous. We are not bandits. We are from the Department of National Defense's Special Investigation Unit." As he spoke, the man took out a small black book from his shirt pocket and showed it to everyone. Only those who were closer could see that it was indeed an identity card with a national emblem. This time, we are here to urgently arrest a criminal's accomplice. Because it is urgent, we have no choice but to come here to arrest someone. We don't want to affect the daily lives of the people. However, we hope that everyone can put national affairs first and cooperate with us. We will be grateful, the man with a flat-top haircut said. The guests present looked at each other in shock and fear. This wasn't something that could happen in a normal day. It was actually people from the Department of National Defense. How big of a crime was this criminal? Treason? The manager of the bar, a short and fat man, finally walked out cautiously. He lowered his head and asked, "Sir, How should we cooperate? He didn't know whether the man was telling the truth or not, but his life was more important. The flat-top haircut said, "Turn on the lights and close the other small doors. Let the guests go out slowly. As long as we find the criminal we are looking for, we will naturally leave." The manager didn't dare to delay any longer. He immediately announced that he hoped that the guests would leave in an orderly manner. He also asked the staff to turn the lights abnormally bright. Yang Chung sat at the bar and yawned. It seemed that he couldn't finish his drink. Could it be that he had some kind of unlucky aura? It was rare for him to come to a bar and meet people from the Department of National Defense to arrest a criminal. Yang Chung wasn't interested in seeing who they were arresting. However, there was a large crowd at the entrance, and Yang Chung didn't want to queue up. He leisurely sat in his seat and waited for the crowd to lessen before going out. Just when the people in the bar were almost gone, a man behind the flat-top haircut man noticed something and whispered a few words in the flat-top haircut man's ear. The four of them looked at the corner of the bar and exchanged glances. They seemed to confirm something and walked over. When Yang Chung saw this, he knew that they had found the person they were looking for. However, he wasn't interested in staying any longer. After all, the atmosphere was gone. So he picked up the unfinished Moutai bottle and slowly walked out of the door. Subconsciously, Yang Chung turned back and glanced at the criminal in the corner. Originally, it was just a glance, but after taking a look, Yang Chung was stunned. The bar was dim just now, and there were many people. The corner was almost dark, and he couldn't see anyone's face. At this time, the lights were bright, and it was empty. Just now, he saw a woman on the sofa in the corner. She was supporting her face with one hand and holding a bottle of amber liquor in the other, getting drunk alone. The woman was wearing a beige patterned dress, revealing her fair wrists. She wore a pink chiffon dress, and her black hair was slightly messy, covering half of her delicate face. Her sexy pink lips were pouting, as if she was drunk and murmuring something. The seductive look in her eyes could make anyone's imagination run wild. Beside the woman sat two ponytailed women in black suits. They seemed to be the woman's bodyguards. At this moment, the two female bodyguards were on high alert and looked extremely nervous. A night beauty like the woman in the pink dress couldn't move the flat-top haircut man. The four of them walked stiffly to the corner and surrounded her. The flat-top haircut man said, "Missin, fortunately, we didn't disappoint you. We still found you in the middle of the night. You should know why we are here. Come back to the department with us." Yang Chung could hear it clearly from afar. Sure enough, this woman was Anshin. The corner of Anshin's mouth curled up mischievously. Her face, which had turned pink because of alcohol, was like a peach that had just been dyed red. "If you want to arrest me, just tell me. Why did you have to chase away so many people?" People from the government just like to put on airs, afraid that others don't know that they have privileges." The flat-top haircut man frowned, obviously not happy to hear such words. "Miss, you're drunk," a female bodyguard said worriedly. "I'm not drunk." A trace of sorrow flashed through Anshin's eyes, but she smiled charmingly and said, "Why is that person committing a crime? But you guys are here to arrest me? Could it be that just because I'm related to him by blood, I have to follow him and become a criminal? You can arrest him. If you want to confiscate his house, do as you please. I won't go with you." The flat-top haircut man said expressionlessly, "Missin, it seems that you still don't know the situation with your father. It's precisely because your father has gone overseas through the enemy's channels that we need to bring you back to assist in the investigation." A trace of astonishment flashed through Anshin's originally hazy and watery eyes. Her smile disappeared, and her delicate body trembled as she looked at the flat-top haircut man. "You say that again. Around 8 o'clock tonight, your father, Mr. Nzaihuan, has forcefully left the customs through illegal channels. We haven't been able to find his whereabouts until now. According to the time, he should be at least in the international waters. We need Miss Anshin to assist us in investigating Nzaihuan's whereabouts. As for the family's assets and all their funds, we have already frozen them." The flat-top haircut man said seriously,